And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be catching you up on the bits of news that we got this week from Tarkov, followed by a deep dive into the Pestilli, or rather Nikita interview via Pestilli that he posted up on his channel earlier this week. So we'll spend a lot of time discussing that. And then we're going to do a bit of a catch up on Giga's boss hunting experience. And then closing that will be probably rambling a bit about other games and Helldivers, because that's what I've been playing religiously. Been doing my serving Super Earth the best way I know how, diving straight into the front lines for freedom.
You have to do it for managed democracy. You have to. You have to. Yeah, I don't think there's actually a great deal of real proper news for Tarkov this week. And there's a few like random bits and pieces of little things. One of which I think went out as we started the cast off last time, which was BSG. And I don't think we went through this, but BSG launched like the first one of their like tutorial guides, like official tutorials for the game. Field Basics is called like Field Guide Basics, and it's on the launcher, which is, I mean, it's a good place to put it. So
yeah,
a lot of people saw it as a sign that BSG are gearing up for 1.0 at least. They're going to have some new player friendly tutorials out there and stuff. And they're like right on the launcher when you load in, so you know what's going on. It's pretty cool that they brought 41 in for like the voiceover, which is awesome. So he's the voice of USEC 3 in game. I think he's called like, is he called Josh now? I think in game. I think it used to be called USEC 3. Now I think he's called Josh. Yeah. But yeah, but he came back to do that, which is cool, because I know he's been looking to do stuff for a while. So it's nice to have somebody who's got some voice lines in the game to do the overview. There you go. Church has got it up there. I haven't actually watched the video. I just saw that it came out, and I saw the beginning bit, and it looks okay. So I think they've got a few of those planned, which is kind of cool. Otherwise, I mean, I think there's a few other random bits and pieces going on. There's like some little tournaments here and there. I know that there is Twitch Rivals coming up soon on the 19th. I think unfortunately is it the 19th? Did I get that right? Yeah, it's the 19th. NA only. Sad, but it is what it is.
What's funny about that is I think the title is like international tournament or something, and it's like NA on. It's like, what? I think that's what it said. Or maybe I'm thinking of the arena one. Or
maybe.
is that the same thing? Now I'm confusing myself.
It is arena, yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay,
but I don't know.
Twitch Rivals International Tournament for Escape from Tarkov. NA only, by the way.
Yeah.
Truly, the only international country is North America, obviously.
Exactly. So that's going to be a thing. I mean, I don't know. I haven't gone fully through the details on that, but I'm assuming it's just going to be a regular sort of arena type tourney, I guess. I don't know if there's anything crazy going on, but yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty quiet week for Tarkov itself. Not too much has happened. We've got the nice weather and whatnot, and the only other big thing really was the Pestilli chat, which has sort of dominated the conversation in general about Tarkov in many different factors. Like they touched on a lot of stuff. It's long. I can't remember how long exactly. It's like an hour and a half or something around that length.
Yeah.
It's pretty extensive. And the interview covers 2 days worth of questioning, and apparently a lot of gaps or silence or whatever was cut out by Pestilli's editors as well. So it was quite a big endeavor. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we dived into the interview?
Yeah, so just about to say, the one other thing I had newsworthy was Clementine posted a video about Avita Reflex, which I've seen mixed feedback on. I don't know. I mean, maybe you're more up. I mean, you're definitely more up to date. Have they patched this already?
I don't know, because the thing is, I have Reflex on, and I didn't see any problems. Okay. So I'm not really sure. And I saw some people saying when they turned it off, their FPS actually went down and stuff like this. So it's another one of those crazy, it depends on the system. No one really knows what's going on kind of problems. So I'm honestly not sure. But yeah, I think originally when this came out, I posted something about it. Just it is frustrating that you never know whether you're allowed to turn on Reflex or turn off Reflex. You're allowed to have this on or that on, or RAM Cleaner's broken this wipe, and now you can't use MIP streaming this wipe because of some other reason. And it's the ongoing just fluctuations of Tarkov settings. You can't just sit on one thing. You have to constantly be tracking what everyone's saying about all the various things because one thing's bust or something else is bust. Like it is quite annoying, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it comes
But
with the territory a bit with beta label being permanently glued onto it.
yeah, and old bugs get like reintroduced quite often, as we know from Tarkov's slightly messy code base and the way that things get patched through and stuff gets added. But it is what it is. So yeah, watch out for that. If you've got NVIDIA
Yeah.
Reflex on and you're having problems, try turning it off. If you got no problems, then don't worry about it. I think the issue for me these days is that because I've not been playing, I've played Streets so much this wipe, I've been kind of doing some other stuff now. There's like not Streets for a bit, just so I don't go completely stale and crazy. Because like Streets is fun, but I don't want to play it every single raid.
Yeah.
And on the other maps, like even if there's a problem, I probably won't notice because I'm not really like super high octane. Like it needs to be 165 hertz at all times. Otherwise, I'm like once it
Literally
gets
me.
above once it gets above about like 85, 90, I just don't
Mhm.
really notice anymore. So like on all the other maps, I'm above that even when scoped with the 5800 X3D. So it's whatever. Like Woods Customs, like, if there was an issue that was dropping me 30 FPS, I don't even know if I'd notice, honestly. Like maybe not. It depends how much scoping I'm doing. If I've got a red dot, I definitely wouldn't notice. I don't think. So yeah, if you're having problems, then go and check that out. And also, Clementine is the man.
Yeah, shout out to Clem.
Just shout out to Clem for the good work that he does on testing all of this stuff, because it really is like the unsung hero type of work to do, going
Yeah.
through all these things, doing the tests, the analysis, the charts, putting everything together, trying to get everything as unbiased as possible. Like it's hard in a game like EFT. I've done a
Oh,
bit of
yeah.
it, and it started to send me borderline crazy, and I basically spent 2 days working on it. So props to him. And you got to enjoy it, otherwise it'll just send you mad.
Yeah. There was this one, I was watching one video from him recently, and he was like doing a testing live in raid, and then like something or someone shot at him, and then he was like, "Oh crap!" It was just funny to me because he's like, within the Tarkov universe, he's like testing settings, and then he's like in the middle of a live combat. It's just like funny to think about, almost like a reporter or like a journalist. Is funny.
That is good. That is good. Yeah. I had but before we get into it, I had a really funny story from like a weird raid.
Okay.
It just reminded me, just talking about like random stuff happening. And I was on customs and I was looking for Vishala, and I'll probably talk about bosses a bit later, but looking for Vishala. I got the RPD. I go to Fortress. Somebody's been in there. Like I know someone's in there, and I suspected that it was the Vishala and his boys. There's like one guard, and I kill that one guard with the RPD. And I'm kind of like, just like scooting about here and there, like mulching around, like trying to not get shot. And I know someone else is here, and we're kind of like, moving around as if we're trying to sort of like get a thing, but not really be seen, whatever. And the other person starts voiping a bit. And I was just like, I couldn't really tell what he was saying. And I was like, are they like trying to bait or be annoying or whatever? And we like skirt around each other until I'm like, okay, it looks like he's cleared out a lot of these people. And he like started like talking properly as we got a bit closer. And so I was like, okay, fine. Because I never normally talk over VoIP. And I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? What's going on? They're like, hey, I'm just trying to get setup done. I'm trying to do setup. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not good for me. I was like, have you killed Rashad already? He was like, oh yeah, I've actually already killed Rash. I was like, okay. I was like, he was like, okay, well look, we don't have to fight here. Like we don't need to fight. Like I'm not in the. I want to just loot these guys and go, even though I'm doing setup. Like I don't want to kill you. Like yeah, and he really didn't sound sussy at all. He was like, look, Rashad is here. He's actually got his golden TT if you need it. And I was like, actually, I do. At that point, I hadn't realized because I'd forgotten because it was so long ago that I'd actually killed Rashad already previously, but I just hadn't got the gun. So I was like, I knew I hadn't got the gun, but I'd forgotten that I'd already done the first part of the quest. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, fine. He's like, look, I'm coming out. Don't shoot me. So he comes out, and I'm like, oh, okay. I said, are you struggling with setup? And he was just like, yeah, I'm having some issues. It's not really my usual play style, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, well, I like the 153, but I don't really like the suppressor so much. Don't think there's any need. If you're close, like, have you tried using Piranha? Like, if you're that close, and he was just like, hang on a second. They were like, is that Giga? And I was just like, hey, yeah, it is. And he was like, do you recognize me? And I was like, no, who are you? He was just like, yeah, we might have shared a seat together on a plane recently. And I was like, oh my God, it's blank. Is the guy like, and so, because I went on the plane from, where did I go from? Manchester to Hanover.
Yeah.
And I was on the same plane as Blank, and I took a taxi with him to the arena because he's part of like ITV team. And I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And like the chat was just like, that is a weird thing. Like it's not necessarily out of the question that somebody would recognize
Sure.
my voice in game because I've got a quite distinctive voice as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also knew him. So it's just like really strange. So I took the TT, we sort of made our pleasantries. I was like, all right, well, I'll see you later then. And like we made, parted ways and off we went. I was like, that is just so random.
That is cool.
Quite funny, especially because he had to have voiced me as well. Like normally we'd have just been in a
Yeah.
firefight and one of us would have
Right.
killed the other and that would have been it. And we'd never have known. Except I guess he would have been because most people don't have their names in game except for me. I'm like one of the few people that do. But yeah, I just thought it was fun. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. I
That's
like it when
cool.
stuff like that happens. It's good. So, the beast that is
Mm-hmm.
the Pestily and Nikita chat. It's very, very long. Now, I don't know exactly how you want to do this because there's a lot. I mean, maybe we could just like go through bits until we hit upon something interesting and then we can like spin it out, something like that. Because I think like some parts of it are more or less interesting. And I will say before we start, like most people have probably already heard it and already heard the commentaries about it as well, or some of them at least. But the beginning of the interview, for me, is the most interesting part because the start has more of Nikita talking than any of the rest of it.
Yeah.
And once you hit about 40 minutes or something, and also like Pestily's kind of arranged it in a really good way so that all of the really important stuff happens at the beginning. So he talks about all the really critical stuff to start with and then leaves like the laundry list of like the community's problems to the end. So
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of the later things, they're less important, but also Nikita doesn't necessarily like know firsthand what it is and or have a response on the fly. Do you know what I mean? So he's like taking notes for a lot of the second half of the video.
Yeah.
So like the first half is definitely useful, and the second half is useful in a broad sense of Nikita got to sit down and basically hear Pestily regurgitate at him every single issue the player base has with the game in order of priority, pretty much. And I think he did a good job of that. But there's not really that much like takeaway for us as viewers right now, except for information getting to Nikita, which is important. Don't get me wrong. But it didn't really like tell us anything, right? Like if you've plugged into the Tarkov community enough, the second half of the issues that are raised, you will have seen them all before anyway, right? So everyone will know that. It'll just remind you. So I don't know. On that basis, I do think that the beginning stuff is more interesting. But yeah, let's just start going through, and then we can. I guess we'll we can either speed up or slow down or like hit on certain points as we get to them as they're important. So I think the two main overarching things that Pestily tried to get across to Nikita, which I do think was important, was that of all of the issues within the community, the ones that came up over and over again was firstly communication from BSG,
Yeah.
and secondly cheating, which I think is probably fair. Those are probably some of the biggest complaints that you actually see about the game, other than like specific bugs, but like in a broad sense. And BSG probably has not done a good job of communicating over the past, well, I probably since the beginning of the wipe, right? Like everything felt like it was going really well last year. I think last year was kind of like the template that they should have gone with. We had a roadmap. We had, 2 6-monthly roadmaps with, whiteboard dates on it. We had like, we knew that they were working on Arena, like they were, announcing that. And then we came into the end of the year, then there was the wipe, and then they had the Christmas party, and they were all really happy about it. And then the wipe happened, and everyone was loving life, and it was all good. And then it was like, right, 14.0's here. And then it was just like, it's just been radio silence until pretty much even now. And it was even about like, there's like a few things that they've done, and there's some patches they've done with some nice things in it. That's and there's been rollbacks or whatever. But it's mostly just been here's update, enjoy. Update broken, rollback update. Okay, here's new update, enjoy.
Yeah.
And even on the arena side, it's like, oh, we're gonna announce this like tournament roadmap or whatever. And it's just like radio silence on that. It's just like it just feels like 2024 is just very different to 2023 in terms of the way that they've communicated to us and stuff. So I think like that was important to get across because, as Nikita said to Pesty, right, a lot of the time they're like overloaded with work and they basically just like forget. They don't mean to, they don't mean to ignore the community, but they just kind of forget to do it. And they do see when big issues arise, they like reorder their priorities so that they fix bugs that are huge as they come up and everybody's shouting about it. I think especially if creators make stuff, because I know that they do keep an eye out on like YouTube and whatever, but also probably on Reddit if things get really big on there. I don't know elsewhere. I'm not sure what else they look at in particular, whether they look at Twitter and stuff. I imagine they probably don't, like in that sense, because like Reddit's quite a good place because Twitter's very fragmented, whereas like Reddit, you have stuff goes to the top for everybody, and on YouTube things get a lot of views for everybody. So I think that's kind of easier, and they probably have people that they watch. As we said, like I'm absolutely certain they watch my stuff at this point because of how reactive they are to the occasional thing that I bring up.
Never forget the alien tech.
The
R.I.P.
goddamn alien tech. I get blamed for so many things. The alien tech, 366 APM banned off the flea. Like, oh god, there's a laundry list of stuff that I'm to blame for. But yeah, so I think it sounds like they're going to do a better job. They did say that they do want to have they do want to bring back the roadmap, which is decent. But yes, but like at the beginning, I know they were talking about like having polls in the game so that they could communicate with the player base a bit better, which is apparently planned, which is kind of interesting. So that you could have it, I guess, like on the launcher or in games, you can like answer questions, that kind of thing. Because like at the moment, it is very specific, the feedback they get. Like they get bug tickets or whatever, probably in the thousands, and then they have like creators videos or whatever, and then they probably see like other bits of random feedback from people. But I guess it's like hard for them to curate like where and when they're getting the information. So like having polls from the whole player base would be quite handy to do, because then people who are kind of underrepresented at the moment would then get their say in a more sort of democratic way rather than just big creators getting their say or whatever. I do feel like BSG is kind of skewed towards listening to creator feedback just because it's kind of easy to consume in that sense in some ways.
Yep.
And people do collect feedback on behalf of their communities too, but at the end of the day, it's like through your own personal filter. So I think it does depend. But as we expected, right? They're working on the release, completing the game, making it as stability friendly as possible, and that they are going to release this roadmap. They did say about Nikita said something about the wipes in general. He just said summer wipe and end of year wipe, at least. So at least we know that. I was actually looking at this with Easy8, my Discord moderator, the other day, because he was like, "Oh, do you know when do you think the wipe's going to be?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know," but Nikita said summer and end of the year. Take from that what you will. Like if you look back at the previous ones, they went off piece last year a little bit with the August one, but prior to that, it was 27th of December was the last wipe, and then 10th of August, which was like the longest wipe of all time, then 28th of December 2022, 28th of June 2022, 12th of December 2021, 30th of June 2021, 24th of December 2022, and then it went back to 28th of May, and then it was kind of like they were sort of a bit shorter prior to that, I believe. Yeah, where have I got it here? Because it was like May, October, April, November, but then we're back in like 2018 time. So they were very stable in this like 6-month pattern for ages, except for this August one that they did last year, which like ruined my life. And it was probably because they were doing arena and like all sorts of other stuff at the same time, right? Whereas like it's probably a bit more stable now. So if I was a betting man, then I would imagine that you probably got like at least a 50% probability that end of June and end of December is like on the cards again. You would imagine, right? Yeah, I imagine that's probably what they would be going for, like the same as they have done. Well, they did do for 3 years prior. So at least we know that that's sort of in play. Yeah, what stuff did you talk about? Like release the storylines and the quest, which he's said a billion times, so that's nothing new. But also about the prestige system, which he sounded like was a big part of what they were doing, which is kind of interesting. And a graphics rework, which is going to come prior to 1.0, I believe, as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't think that's necessarily anything that we didn't know already, but it's sort of just, I think even just reiterating the plans of what they're doing is fine, because it sort of keeps us on track. Especially as I said, we've had radio silence for a bit, and we don't really know what their plans are for 2024, other than we've done patch 14 and blah blah. Because like they keep talking about releasing the game, so it's like when is this actually going to arrive? Who really knows? Like, is it plausible that the December wipe is like 1.0? I don't think so, but like it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that's what I'm anticipating, but I don't know, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was like another thing. I mean, the other reason why I was thinking like maybe they don't want to show roadmap for it or whatever, because like like the
True.
roadmap for them is like the release date, so it's like they
Right.
might not want to put that somewhere. So I'm not sure, but I think it could still well be likely like the summer wipe in 2025 or something. But who really knows?
Yeah. I could totally
Who
see
really
that.
knows?
I think
Um,
I'm most intrigued by the graphics framework.
hmm.
Like I've been when I was playing a lot of Cyberpunk, I was like messing a lot with like graphical stuff and different things you could turn on and off and having to like look up certain terminology, and it's pretty amazing how good like with I mean, I doubt we're getting any type of ray tracing stuff, but just the technology, like if you have the hardware to run it, like it can look absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Tarkov does look pretty good, but it would be very interesting, like mostly lighting and like shadowing is like the two things I'm most intrigued about. Having better lighting as like a general catch-all, and as far as like visibility goes, but also like better lighting as far as like realism goes, like lighting coming
Mm.
in through the window and then like illuminating the area because it's effectively bouncing off, but it's also like very bright in that spot that it's landing in as well. But things like that I would be, and shadows, like visibility mainly is kind of my big thing for shadows. um I'm sorry, yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what all that entails, if it's just like more of like a rework or like an update or new technologies, who knows.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, a bit later on, I've just like skipped ahead in my notes to when they were talking about fog, because that's kind of where he
Yeah.
alluded to it again. And the Nikita was saying basically there's like a minimum amount of fog
Hmm.
just like baked into the game kind of thing. It sounds like it's something fundamental that they can't really get rid of. But he said in the graphics overhaul, it will be changed. And like Pesley raised there saying like daytime, it was just too dark inside on a lot of maps. Like, cause there's windows nearby or whatever. Like interchange is probably still too dark in some areas, even though there's like skylights or whatever. You'd expect it to be a lot lighter. Like some parts of the map can be darker. That's fine. As long as it's kind of like it is in the sort of rework now where it's still viewable. You can still see. Um, but yeah, some places just too dark. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see what happens with that. I'm sure that'll bring its own, own new set of challenges when it comes through. Any kind of rework does. But yeah, that'll be interesting. Um, so yes, he said we're going to get a new roadmap at some point, which would be cool. And he didn't want to talk about all the features because he wanted to talk about the one Tarkov TV. So I mean, I don't know when that's going to be, but probably I don't really know, in a month maybe or whatever.
Maybe.
Because who knows? We'll see. So he didn't want to talk about it too much. We did finally get like confirmation on what Nikita's vision for open world is, where as we've always said, right, it's connected maps. People always say open world, but
Yeah.
at least I have always been quite, and I think you agreed with me. I've always been quite like confident that they mean connected maps because it's not going to be like, oh, you're going to seamlessly be able to walk through path to shoreline and then you'll be on shoreline. Like
Right.
it's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. And as Nikita said, like, no, there's no way to do it, right? It just doesn't going to work.
Hmm.
So yes, the maps will be connected, but no to open world. Um, and again, on in 1.0, you'll have a main account without wipes, and then a seasonal account with the prestige system. There's going to be several different endings to the game, so I presume there's a couple of different ways to escape from Tarkov. Like, I actually think that's quite cool. Like, maybe you can like get to a certain amount of money and buy your way out. Maybe you do quest with Lightkeeper. Like, maybe you can like fight your way out doing something else. I've no idea. Maybe there's a stealth mission. Who knows? Um, Apparently, if you do any of those escaping from Tarkov endings, if you do one of them, you'll get like the prestige point. So it kind of sounds like there's one per wipe, maybe like one prestige point per wipe. Like that gives you whatever. I mean, I don't really know. Did he talk about that anymore? I can't actually remember. Let me see. No, I don't have any more references to it here. So I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like. But that's kind of cool. I quite like the idea of that you can finish the game and then maybe come back and redo stuff. Like when people have been talking about prestige for ages, so I'm intrigued to see what they do about that. It's like pretty nice that they're gonna have that in there. Um, and then there's like one more trader coming as well, who's linked to Arena. Pretty interesting. So you can earn something Arena maybe and like spend it in EFT. There's like maybe a currency or something. It sounded like there was some
Oh boy.
resource of some kind that like then is related to the crossover of the two games.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean it sounds fun. It sounds fun.
Just the balancing nightmare that's in my head is going off right now. There's like a red flag being slowly raised. I don't know. It might be fine. I don't really know.
Yeah.
At the very least, gonna be interesting to see what they cook up. So,
Yeah, because I think the link between EFT and Arena, technically on the roadmap for Arena, I think it was already supposed to have happened potentially, because the old roadmap had like 1.5 gameplay
mhm,
patch, which was the one with like the armor and chop shop. Then 1.6, which is the one that we're on now, which had block the map in it that we talked about last week, which is now out, which I still haven't played actually. I need to go. I need to go and play that. With like quality of life stuff, unranked, which ended up coming earlier, but
mhm.
then synchronization of EFT and EFT Arena game profiles hasn't happened. So presumably that's in 2.0, the content patch for midsummer, presumably. I don't really know. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I don't really care if VSU misses stuff on the roadmap or stuff gets
Mhm.
moved around or pushed or whatever. Like, it doesn't really bother me. I just like to know what they're thinking at the time. It just kind
Yeah.
of tells you what their priorities are and what they're looking at doing. And if stuff slips, then I'm like, okay, it slipped. That's fine. I'd rather know though, rather than just be like nothing, like it is now.
Yeah, but I can imagine from their point of view, as soon as they put it out there into the ethos, it's like gospel. And then if
Yeah,
they break it, then they get crucified.
I'm sure. But they get crucified for communication if they do nothing. They get crucified. Like
Right.
you can't win as a dev, can you?
It's almost better that they leave it very nebulous, because then it sort of gives them the freedom. Like, well, either way, we're gonna be,
Yeah.
demonized and whatnot. So we might as well just give ourselves a little bit of a freedom. At least
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking from their
I can
point
see
of
the
view.
temptation. I don't think it's necessarily good, but I can see the temptation
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he talked about Terminal again a little bit. I mean, I just assume Terminal's like one of the endings that you can have. It's like, I don't know, it's weird, but I wonder whether it will be or not, because they've said it's going to be some kind of like single player, kind of like almost like a mission kind of thing. So I don't know whether it's going to come like right at the end of the game, like whether most people. It almost sounds a bit like Lightkeeper, like most people are never going to see Terminal kind of thing. Like they build this map, there's a whole mission there, whatever, and it's like 99% of the player base never sees it. That's. I'm starting to get a bit concerned that might be the case. Like, you have to finish all these quests and do this stuff for Lightkeeper, whatever, before you can even go there and then try and get the prestige point. It's like some special thing. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that's
when that
kind of what it
content happens that
sounds
way.
like
Yeah.
to me. Is like, oh, one of the ways you escape from Tarkov is you go to terminal and you get a private jet that Peacekeeper hooked up. It's only going to cost you 1 million USD and 1 million euros, but you can get that prestige point this way, and it's a single player mission. Oh no, Killa shows up. He's trying to stop you. Enter cutscene, motion 3D rendered graphics. Just like, I don't know, dude. Press X to fire revolver to kill Killa.
Like turns into some
Quick
like Call of
action.
Duty thing.
Yeah, quick action start popping up. No, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I don't, just single player. I just think, why though? But the only reason I could see why is like if you wanted to have like some type of like in-game
Hmm.
cutscene, maybe it's not like an actual movie that plays, but it's like a rendered cutscene in the game engine that you're a part of. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
don't know why you would want to. I feel like that's the charm of Tarkov is, well, charm in quotation marks is that it's multiplayer. So like forking in this like weird single player unique, it's like this like special thing. I just don't know. It just seems so weird to me.
I know. I know what you mean. I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I mean, they he kind of says the same thing every time he talks about it. Like, oh, it's going to be this unique thing where people are going to go through it. It's more like a single player campaign, kind of
Hmm.
deal. Like, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think that's the thing that worries me. Like, I don't really care what it is, but just like if it's going to be like Lightkeeper, where hardly anybody gets to see him. I mean, I guess this is the thing though, because like this is what makes me think about it more and more. Is that Nikita says, "Oh, it's going to be very difficult to escape from Tarkov. Like, it's going to be very hard. Like, most people won't do it. That kind of thing." And it's like more content locked behind, literally hundreds of hours of gameplay. And like, is this good? I don't know. Like, they've got a history of doing this. Um,
It might
on
be
that note, like,
fine.
it might be fine. Maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it'll be fine. Yeah, I don't know.
But
Like on that note, people keep asking me about Lightkeeper, and I'm just so annoyed that they've not done anything with him really. Like it's such a shame. It really is. Like yeah, they're giving him like 3 like reward, like was it rewards things you can pay for, like cult amulet, like covering fire from the goons or Sriracha or whatever, which is like 1 raid, and like who cares? Like doesn't even like what? Let me buy him an Alton, like, and then run back with it. Like come on.
someone brought up a good point. Like some of the rewards you get are like crafting recipes for like letexes and vertexes. But arguably, it's like there's a very strong argument that once you get there, those recipes are basically useless. Like they're not useless, but they have so much more value when you actually need those things found in raid, because you actually don't need them found in raid anymore. I think technically, I don't know. Maybe there's a quest tree path where you could
Or
forego
like
doing
LEDX for Crisis maybe or something.
yeah,
Like
and like I think maybe there's a peacekeeper quest that if you hand in a couple vertexes and you can like get a barter for like a thick case, but like and that thick case barter is like a bunch of vertexes and military. It's more expensive than doing any of the other thick case barters is what it ultimately comes down to. So I don't know. It's just like classic BSG. I don't know.
yeah, because they were like, oh, the LEDX quest is too easy because everyone just crafts the thing. So we're like, we'll move it behind Lightkeeper to make it interesting. It's just like, well, we'll move it there, but the craft isn't profitable and you don't need them for anything. So nobody does it.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Lightkeeper is like a mountain to climb, whereas like finding letexes is like it's still a mountain, but you got like repel system, a helicopter evac on standby, medical team with you. Like it can
Yeah.
still be difficult, but not as like doing Lightkeeper quests, because it's like a long quest line before you get there, and it is even once you get there, then you got to do the long piece or long Lightkeeper quest line to get to the final craft to do the LEDX craft. It's just like, oh my god, it's so much work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm a bit, yeah. I am disappointed about Lightkeeper because like I did it 2 wipes in a row,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in preparation, but like, oh, they're going to add him as an in raid trader to
Yeah,
do
that was the hype.
trading stuff, like interesting
Right.
things, like being able to buy a rocket launcher to blow up the BTR on streets or whatever. It's like, I'm going to give you like a
Yeah.
necklace with a shark's tooth on it. I'm like, okay, cool story, bro. Like, and so I just decided not to bother this way. I was just like, I just can't be bothered. Like, it's just not, it doesn't really do anything. Like, some people pointed out, they were like, yeah, it's nice to be able to buy the various masks, the Death Shadow,
Yeah,
the
sure.
QCM, like the spear, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but it's like 10 Lightkeeper quests in. Like, I spend the
Yeah,
whole wipe doing Lightkeeper quests so I can buy the face mask for 70k. Like, who cares? Like,
and
the
it's like you got to
300k
camp the
difference, like,
reset. Like
probably.
even
I
if
don't
you
know whether it's
do,
sold out or not. I'm not
well,
sure.
I heard it's like, wow, I think it's like 3 per reset. I forget. It's like
What?
it's very small. I think Valiant was talking
No.
about it. It's very small per reset. Yeah,
No way.
I can't remember the number,
Well, see,
but it's
even with the
very
small number of
small.
people that have done it, already is like it sells out straight away anyway. It's so stupid. You should have to go to him to buy it. Like,
Yeah, that
I
would be
don't
way more
understand. Like,
interesting.
it's so stupid. Like, why? Why have they done it like this? Oh, anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, doesn't matter. It's very annoying. Okay, so we'll just keep whiz through a few more things just until we hit something interesting. Plans and
Oh,
alliances after 1.0 on DLC. Or what were you going to say?
I was just jumping back to
Oh
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
terminal section. Um, how you're talking about like it could be interesting and how they like to make these things very difficult. I feel like reason why I say it could be interesting is because when they do these like okay, I'll use Helldiver's example. So for like the hardcore players, because this is kind of interesting. Oh man, okay. A point being is to keep them engaged. I guess I don't know how much you value them, but to keep them engaged, like they need to do stuff. And like sometimes the way the BSG goes about that is like, let's make them farm Killa 1,000 times, And it's like, well, that's not really what we like, Some people I guess will do it, but
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like it's a very hard thing to balance, and that's kind of what I fear is like I think that they could do something really cool, but if they lock it behind, you know, spend the next 1,000 hours of your free time and your finite life playing this video game to get to see the cool USEC versus Bear cutscene exclusive or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
that. I think that's kind of where the problem is. Like sometimes they go a bit overboard on the grinding aspect. Like if they toned that down or made it more reasonable or more like enticing, kind of like you're suggesting with like Lightkeeper. Like on one hand, you do a very long quest line. On the other hand, everybody's allowed to go see him, but the grind is you have to get out alive with the stuff you go buy from him. You know, it's like a different. It's the type of grind, I guess, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's like all comes down to how they differentiate the grind.
But like it would be sick, right? If all of the quests were replaced with all the rewards were replaced with something like, you know, you can go and buy like one super rare item from him every whatever. And like, I don't know, maybe they're like really hard, but maybe you get 20 at once or something. So you can go and do any of these random things, but it's like this one that's super hard. It lets you buy the ult in once a day. This one lets you buy the spear once a day. This one lets you buy a stack of 7M40 once a day. Like, and you choose which one you want to do to get the thing that you want. Like, I don't know, something like that. But like, you have to go to him and do the thing. I'm not a fan of like, go to him to get the quest, then go and do some stuff, and then you can buy it from Peacekeeper. It's just like, no, like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Something does
That's
feel
not the
off about
point. That was
that.
not what's the point of the whole thing? Like, it's just
Why even put all the work to put him in there if
it's questing with extra
ultimately
steps, and quests are the extra steps
yeah.
already.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you hit it right, the nail on the head there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So clans and
Now we can move
alliances.
on. Yeah. I just had to get that out. Okay. Clans and alliances, yes.
Which is apparently a 1.0 DLC. Again, they keep bringing up this DLC flag. I mean, I guess like it kind of makes more sense for something like clans and alliances. You can have that as something extra that people, you know, either pay for, or they have it as EOD or whatever like that. You know, you just don't have that functionality otherwise. Probably doesn't matter that much in game. I mean, I know in the past they've talked about like shared stashes and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see if there's something cool that comes of that. It might be kind of nice. Although it does sort of like fly in the face of boosting and whatever that they've talked about previously. So they have to be kind of careful to tread that line between, you know, I'm not allowed to drop you the customs office key in raid at all as
Right.
verboten versus, oh, you're gonna have like a clan stash or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, it sort of feels like it's hard to do one while still keeping in with the sort of RMT style restrictions that they want to do. Like maybe if you know, maybe
The
it's like
cheater
quite
clan.
yeah, exactly. Maybe it's like quite you got to like make it quite frictional to like join and leave clan groupings. Like maybe you could do it, but like you're stuck for like I don't know 30 days or something within that at least. I mean, maybe that's too short. Yeah, it's just like if that's able to transfer items for free or whatever, then like it's going to be targeted by stuff. So that's the only thing that feels like might take that down. So I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to be anything cool in the end. I'm not really sure.
I mean,
Um,
I don't remember. I mean, I listened to it, but I wasn't like super locked in. You know, did he actually mention shareable stashes
No,
in
no,
this?
no. I
Okay,
was just speculating. They literally just said like just plans and alliances, like so after 1.0
okay.
DLC type thing. That was it. Yes, but a few other things as well, like unconscious state, where Pesti was asking him about like that, and he was like, "Well," but Nikita basically said, "Oh, you know, we have got to like cut some stuff, whatever." I think they were talking about like, I think they might have had some of the animations done or whatever, but it's like kind of hard to like implement. Like, it's probably going to come later, probably not before. Like, I don't think it'll come before the release. And then they were talking about lock picking as well. Like, Nikita has this vision about like a boss that has mines and like mine defusal and stuff like that. But like, it did
Huh.
sound to me as if that none of that stuff was really just it was not like big enough, not priority enough to make it in before the game like goes to 1.0 at least. I mean, who knows? Maybe it comes in later, but we'll see. Now they did talk about PMC Karma though,
Hmm.
which actually made me sound. It sounded like slightly more positive than I than we were thinking because it didn't sound like it was going to affect too much stuff. So it was going to be like a hidden stat, although I'm sure it'll probably be on Tarkov.dev, but whatever. And so it's going to be some hidden stat, and the way it was going to work, it wasn't going to affect any of your reps or anything like that. It was basically like there was going to be this a boss who's like a bounty hunter who's going to hunt PMCs with
Oh
low
yeah, I
karma.
remember that.
And as far as he said, that was all it was going to be for the time being, at least. And there were certain activities that were going to lower your karma, extract camping being one of them. Like if you're hanging around near the
Yeah,
extract, then
this
that
is
was going to lower your
weird.
karma. So like kind of interesting. I don't know about killing players on your own team and how much that affects it or whatever. Like I don't really know. Because like if you don't know and it's hidden, everyone's just going to play the game like normal and everyone's just going to be hunted by this bounty hunter. So I don't really understand. It sounds a bit strange. But anyway, it sounded less problematic, at least, than the sort of thought of, you're going to lose trader rep with Peacekeeper or whatever if you're a USEC and you shoot USECs, like all of that stuff. So, but it sounds better than any other kind of speculation on it up until this point. But we'll have to see. Could be kind of fun, watching Stank Rat and Exfil Camper fighting the assassin boss every single raid. Could almost be a good farm for gear, get your PMC cover
Yeah,
super low and then.
No, it sounds so weird. Like not weird as in bad, primarily weird as in different. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like they're like condemning extract camping
Hmm.
without actually condemning it. But
I think
then
it's kind of cool in some ways. It's kind of fun.
yeah, but that's my point. Is like then you could like actively do the thing that you're supposed to get punished for. You know what I mean? It's like here's this side content you can participate in. But really what we're
Oh, I
saying is
see.
this is the thing that you're not supposed to do because this gives you bad
Hmm.
karma. But the way you can interpret it is like this is just side content I can participate in if I do the thing that they say I'm not supposed to do. You know?
Yeah.
It's just
Because people do the
it's just
ratting thing for
weird.
content anyway. So it's just like, oh, I got attacked by the assassin, whatever. It's like
Mm-hmm.
actually more interesting. Um, yeah, but like I don't think Foxton and chat saying like if you imagine if you had to AFK just for a few minutes in a bush, whatever. Like I don't think it'll be like that. I think if you're like at the extract for like half an hour, I don't think it's gonna be if you stop in a bush for 2 minutes, then because that's not the way the game works. I'm not like I don't know. I'm not that worried about it. I think it'd be okay. I think it'd be fun, but I don't know what else would like cause you to have low karma. I don't really know. It's hard to like parameterize some of these things. You think like betraying people, whatever, but like they'd never know. They'd never be able to like tell. Like I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it sounded like it sounded like it had less fangs than it could potentially have. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy about that. Unity update apparently is coming this year finally, as per Nikita. And we've like he's talked about this before. The Unity update itself doesn't do anything. It gives them more tools to then do things. So when they put it through, the game will probably just feel the same because it's more tools for them to then be able to optimize stuff and use whatever algorithms or whatever it is that they're running to try and improve culling and optimization and whatever. So it gives them the things they need to help improve, but it doesn't improve stuff by itself. So we'll see. We'll see how that comes. Microtransactions. There's gonna be more clothing. He said something new, not 100% unique. So I presume that means you'll be able to still achieve it in game as well as buy it if you wanted.
I
That's the way I
interpret
interpret that. But
I interpret that differently as in not 100% unique. It's the killer tracksuit, but this time in gold. That's kind of how I interpreted it. But maybe it's more along the lines of what you're saying.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just speculating, so I'm not sure. But I think that's probably the best way to go about it. If it was me, add something new to the game. You put it behind a certain, you have to do whatever, but then you could also pay for it as well. Because then there's kind of both routes. I think that's kind of fine. And the only thing that seemed probably the most controversial part about the entire interview was this new version of the game that's supposedly coming back. Because lots of people have been asking about the Gamma, about
Mm-hmm.
the EOD edition, and it's been removed, and about the stash space that comes with it, and blah 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 blah. And he said there was a new version of the game that was coming that was going to be better than EOD. Now, I thought he was joking. I thought he, because it's hard to tell with Nikita because he's got quite dry
Yeah.
sense of humor. Um, but and I thought he was joking, but like apparently, Nice Guy like confirmed that it was going to be better than EOD. Like actually confirmed this supposedly. So read into that how you want. I mean, it depends what it is. Like in the video that I watched where Nice Guy was recapping, he was like, it's one of those like lesser evils of BSG. They want to raise more money for doing
Right.
whatever because people buy EOD and they never have to pay for anything ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Like I actually feel more strongly about this than I do about pretty much all the other micros in the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
I I think this is the word. Like, if they do bring in something that's like better than EOD now, the EOD people can upgrade to, I will be slightly knocked.
Why? Why do you feel that way? I'm curious.
I feel that way because EOD was supposed to be something special
Mm-hmm.
for like early backers. It would be like releasing a game with the standard edition and like a collector's edition,
Yeah, yeah,
and then a year later being like, oh, we're releasing a new edition. The collector's edition people can also buy. That's even better than collector's edition, even though collector's edition was like a limited time. Like I just don't really like it.
yeah. No, I could. I feel like the way I could see it is, it's almost like they retcon the financial value decision proposition that you made back when you bought the game. It's like if you went to a retail store and, I don't know, you bought the ultimate package for something,
Yeah.
and then you come back a year later and there's like ultimate package plus plus, and it's like the same, it's like the same stuff, but like it's better. It's just like you
Mm.
feel like you got cheated in a way,
Yeah, and I think
because you
it's
were
marketing.
promised all these things.
Exactly. And I think it's like it's the way it's marketed. Like, and
Right.
I don't think he should have said it that way. I think he should have
Hmm.
just said there's a new version of the game coming that's gonna, give something analogous to what EOD used to. That's kind of like, in my opinion, that's kind of like okay. Sort of, right? And then we'd have to see. But to be like, oh, it's gonna be better, like to be better than EOD, which was like this is the special package. I think that's the thing, because EOD was always marketed as like, this is the special package, it's gonna go away eventually. And then people are going to just have to sort of have whatever's after that. I think that's why I don't like it, because it's like there's a gap in sort of expectation there. It's like the expectation was that there was never going to be anything better than EOD, and if you had to buy it now because it was going
Right.
to be gone forever.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality was, actually we're going to bring something in later that's like even better than that. Despite we said that before, it feels like they're kind of going back on what they said, which is annoying. Which I know that they said that about microtransactions in the first place, but like for some reason I don't care about that as much. Because I
Hmm.
feel like that's sort of justified, because that like covers a wide base of things, and I don't care about people buying the camos and whatever. Whereas like I don't like the concept. I mean, we're gonna have to see, right? Honestly, maybe it won't matter. Maybe it won't matter. We'll have to see what it actually is. So jury's out until they show what this new package is, EOD plus plus, what that's going to be. Edge of Lightness, EOL.
Yeah, because also they like package in a promise that you'll get all future DLCs. So now suddenly there's something new that you're not getting in this new package, whatever it is. Maybe it's like, I don't even know what's a gamma, alpha, kappa. What's another? What are these even called? These?
Well, the Greek letters.
Yeah. What's another zeta? A zeta container. Is that even a word? I don't know. I'm trying to come
Yes.
up with a new Greek container. You know what I'm saying, though, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There was that, but what was that? There was the
Like this
Omicron
is,
one that was going to come.
yeah. Maybe that's it.
Theta container.
That's it. That's it. Lambda container. There we
Lambda
go.
container, that's a good one.
Omega container. I like the sound of
Omega
that one.
container. See, they've still got Omega container. That's like that's what's going to come in this next one. It's going to be the same size as a thick case, and they
You
cost
just
$1,000.
It'd be great if it like had like an expand tab and it opens up, and there's another expand tab and it opens up again. It's just a bunch of expand tabs. It keeps opening up.
Oh my god.
Uh,
So
all
yeah,
right.
I don't know. I think that's probably the headline grabber
Mm-hmm.
kind of statement out of there, where he should have just said it was going to be a new version of the game. In my opinion, that's
Yeah.
coming. That was going to do, be the new top package or whatever. Because I have like a sort of a dirty taste in my mouth about
Mm-hmm.
the concept without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
So
I can
yeah,
understand that. I mean, me personally, I'm not really bothered by it all that much.
yeah. I mean,
But
I'm not that fussed really. But of all the things, I
well,
would say it's
yeah.
kind of it's. I'm like
But I mean, I can understand. I feel like gamers are pretty notorious for getting mad at things, and I feel like this one I can like sympathize or empathize the most with. you know? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like there is some justification here.
Sigma container.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, so that's interesting. That is interesting. Presley did ask about like multiple accounts because lots of streamers and content creators have like multiple accounts, and some people might actually like to have multiple accounts for doing like a hardcore playthrough or just one on standard and one on EOD, whatever. And it's annoying. Especially brought up, right? When you swap from one account to another, you have to do the goddamn capture every time. And like VSG's capture system, whichever one they use, is like extremely hard. And I'm
Yeah.
caught out as a, part of the automaton machine race, probably every other capture or something. It's very difficult to complete. As a fully verified human being. Although some other people might attest to me being more of a robot, but yeah, so like, having multiple accounts within the same account would be kind of cool. And apparently EAD is going to get, like, they've got it planned for EAD to get one character for free, which is nice. You'd have like one extra character if you have EAD already. So I guess that's in, so like permanent, seasonal, and then one other, I think. I think maybe you'll be able to pay for some more. Which I think is fine. I think that's cool. If you want extra accounts within their account, that's like kind of a neat thing. And it stops you having to log in and out with different emails and stuff because it's a pain. So that's nice. And then they talked a lot about cheaters actually because it was important. As I said at the start, Pesty brought that up as it was one of the biggest problems people have with the game. It's one of the biggest problems people have with FPS games in general. So you kind of sympathize, like, depending on where you stand with BSG, whether you think that they're not trying, whether they're lazy, whether they're disincentivized, whether they are trying, whether it's really difficult, whether they don't have the skills or the talent or whatever, right? They talked a lot about various things. Nikita saying a lot of stuff is apparently on the server, but they find ways to do stuff or whatever. And that they looked at like even more invasive anti-cheat, but the FPS hit isn't worth it. They can't. I guess they can't spare it, right? Like they're trying to optimize streets, or whatever. If they applied this, it would apply to every map, and they have to look at the weakest link in the chain. One would presume, and that is going to be streets for sure. And people can't play that already. So like even now, so it's just not really an option. I think that's probably the rationale. I would guess. Either which way, he said it was the FPS hit is too much for them to be checking more things than they have already. Like virtual, like mobile like checks don't really work, like linking stuff to phone numbers because they the cheaters just use like virtual sims and get around it. And like it's different. That's hard because it's different in different countries as well. He said in some countries it was like something like that was active, but it's just like there's ways around it. But Pesci did bring up the good point of this, like, stop selling the bulk accounts. Like, even if cheaters aren't buying bulk accounts directly from you, it just optically looks terrible. And people just hate the way it is perceived. So you're not benefited. Like, you're making people just hate you for no reason at best and for valid reason at worst. So just like stop doing it. He didn't say like yes they would or no they wouldn't, but it was it was funny that he brought that up because you do see that quite a lot. People being like, "Oh, the bulk accounts have gone on sale again just after the huge ban wave or whatever."
I thought it was
And like,
funny too because I remember hearing that, and then like that day or then the following day, I checked Twitter and PSG posted like a spring sale. So, yeah, I don't know if you could buy
yeah,
in bulk, but yeah, it seemed like it didn't really.
yeah, exactly. And like he also brought up about like suing cheat devs, which has been done by other people, but as you said, it takes ages, right?
Yeah.
And just takes a really long time, so you can't really rely on that. So I guess if the work continues, like I'm very much like shrug my shoulders at the anti-cheat stuff because you can't tell whether BSG are doing a good job or not. They can't really tell you whether they're doing a good job or not. They can't say anything. If they were doing a bad job, they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't say. If they were doing a good job, they can't really tell you. They can't tell you what they're doing because it'll help the cheaters fight against them. So you just are in this information black hole as a player. You just can't know. They can't tell
Yeah.
you. No one can know. So that's that. You can't ever judge which like whether it's good or not. That's just it. I know there was like I PUBG like posted up they banned like 80,000 players or something in PUBG the other day. So it's it's all games with the exception maybe of Valorant that was like built from the ground up around anti-cheat, who's like probably fares slightly better than the rest. It's just an ongoing war. It's just terrible. It's just awful. We've talked about cheaters a lot, so they know. They know it's a problem. Wesley knows. Nikita knows. He knows. Everyone hates the cheaters. They hate the cheaters. Whether they do a gain from it or not, I don't really know, but
Mm-hmm.
in the long run, probably not. Right? Even just from people get it feeling like they're getting cheated on. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's kind of such a complex issue, but
Hmm.
without saying too much, it just seems like it's like a culmination of things. So yeah, without going into it a lot, it's just a very complex thing. And as you said, we don't really know much, nor can know much, nor
Exactly.
are really entitled to know much. It's not like
Yep.
they owe us anything really per se. Um, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
maybe in a different world, if they had all the finance, money was no object, and the technical limitations weren't they were completely solved by this one revolutionary video game studio, then yeah, maybe. But it kind of just it is what it is.
Mm. Yeah,
To quote a
exactly.
very
Like
wise man.
it did sound like they say, oh, they fix they fix one hole and then they find another and another and
Yeah.
another. And I don't think like Unity is necessarily the most easy to like patch over, whatever. It's like you do literally need to start from scratch with it in mind
Hmm.
to cover all vulnerabilities, because otherwise, like, there's just so many things they probably just can't really change. Like there's so much stuff they probably can't change at this point. Like the game's been in development for so long, the
Yeah,
code is so convoluted probably at this point.
I would say on that note, even if they could change it, it's probably not worth it in their minds to change it. Like if they had to change something, it's gonna take them 2 years to
Oh
do
yeah,
this, like rework or whatever. Like hypothetically, there's just no way it's like
mm,
worth it. Time investment and probably
yeah,
monetary investment. It's just
exactly,
not worth it.
exactly. So the next one, I know that Nice Guy was getting het up about this, um, which was the kill cam, like the post raid kill cam, because I know originally they said they were going to bring this to Arena, which they obviously have done,
Hmm.
and then they were going to think about bringing it back into EFT and seeing whether they could do something, whether it's like helmet cam or I don't know, footage after the raid or whatever that gets like posted to you by a scav or something. Who knows? But Nikita said that it was too much work to do to add a kill cam to the base game, and that he was going to have a think about like adding something to try and give you some information about what happened afterwards, maybe. But he sounded kind of non-committal about it. But he was
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, kill cam is like we just don't have the resources to like store it or like to work it into the game or whatever." Um, I don't know how. Like, I know that there's kind of two sides to There's two sides to this. There's a lot of people who are kind of on the team, like, I don't trust the arena kill cam anyway. So why would I trust the one in EFT? And then there's team, like, at least I would know where the guy was camping. Like, there's kind of like, there's sort of two,
Yeah.
there's two like rationales for having kill cam, really. One is like to improve at the game, and the other one is to find out whether they were cheating or not. Now,
Hmm.
to figure out whether they're cheating or not, I don't think you'll be able to know from the kill cam. Because, yeah, sometimes you can tell in arena, but the kill cam isn't really very accurate as to what actually happened. It's like the server's version, and there's like desync on it, and it doesn't really show you all of their animations. It doesn't store everything, right? It can't do. It's too much information. So it shows you like some stuff. Like even now in arena, you don't see any of their effects when they're shooting at you. You don't see really any like blur or pain or aim punch or anything like that. But for the improvement people, I do see the value,
Hmm.
because you would at least then like figure out the spots where people were, like where you
Yeah.
died from, or like it would also alleviate some of these other weird situations where, because I've always got this in mind. Like I saw a clip from Valiant today where he got killed in the nape. He was wearing CQCM and he was fighting a guy outside dorms. He was facing him and then he dies. And he's like, "Oh, I got shot in the nape. Like these hitboxes are, whack or whatever." And somebody validly pointed out in the thing below, you know, could there have been somebody up in 3-story? Like, was this like, was it that guy? And there's so many times in arena where I've like been fighting someone and I was like, man, how did I die? And then it was like his teammate like peeking around the plane that I just didn't see and I died. And I was like, okay, like I've had enough of those in the base game where someone's been streaming or whatever, and I've gone to check my death out for whatever reason. And they came and said, "Oh, look, we've been streaming and blah blah." And I checked it out, and it was like, and it was his teammate and stuff like that, right? There's enough of those
Yeah.
to make me want that. in some fashion to at least figure out like, was it the guy I was fighting that killed me, or was it someone else? Because that is the first step to really knowing what happened. And a lot of the time, it's kind of misleading. Like, if you're in a big firefight with somebody, you won't necessarily hear the shot come from like the side, or the dude's friend who's on spine covering with like an M700, and you die, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm surprised I'm dead. But like, it wasn't the guy who was 10 feet away from you that you were fighting. Like, you got killed by someone else. And I do think it would help with that for sure, because people do think like, oh, it's impossible that you could have killed me, so like it must be hacks. Like, I think that anything that alleviates some of the confusing information about accusations is going to help us. A little bit like audio pop, like they talked about it a little bit in this. But like, when you fight against somebody who's heard your audio pop, it feels like they've got ESP, because they did.
Yeah,
Basically, it
basically.
was the in-game ESP for a split second. So you knew exactly where you're coming from. It's just like, well, it's impossible to tell whether somebody's got wall hacks or whether they just like footstep popped you and they just knew. So like, that's one thing that needs to go. And it's the same thing for this. It's like, well, if you're fighting somebody and then you go, wow, it's impossible. Like, he just aimbotted me through the wall or whatever. And it's like, actually, it was some other guy. Like, trying to reduce those situations so that people don't mislabel them as cheating, I think is good for the game, and it's good for people's psyche. It's good for the player base. So I do think it's a bit of a shame in that sense that they're not going to do it. But I don't know what else could be like this, the easier second stage, like the coordinate of the other player or something. Like, it could show you on a map
Oh,
where you
yeah,
got shot
maybe.
from or something. I don't know, but I hope they do something. I don't necessarily need to see the death. Obviously, it would be nice. I mean, I'd like a kill cam personally, like after the raid, it'd be good, or a replay. Um, as some people are saying in chat, like the old PUBG one where you can like replay it. And like, the old PUBG replays weren't exactly what happened. They didn't look exactly the same way either. But they were like, good enough representation to figure out like what happened. You can see where the people are and stuff like that. I mean, there's also kind of a thematic thing as well of like, should you be able to see all that information? Like,
Right,
part of
right.
Tarkov's things like the fog of war, like you never really know what happened, which I get, but yeah, I don't know. So it's a balance. It's a balance. Um, Oh, yeah. So, like, this is kind of the point that I was talking about right at the start, where it's the narrative kind of changes from this is, and it's I was about right actually. This is about minute 37, because I've got it all timestamped on my notes. This is about the point where it starts to become kind of like the Pestily monologue of like the laundry list of community woes with Nikita
Yeah.
note taking, as opposed to like a back and forth. Because they talk about lots of stuff. They talk about like um the ability to buy like the killer tracksuit being based on the achievement rather than on the quest, for example. So if you do, turn it into achievements. So if you kill killer, I don't know, 50 times or 100 times, whichever way you want to do it, like 50 times in a wipe, you get the killer tracksuit, 100 times you get to keep it forever, something like that. So you don't have to go into every single wipe if you did it. Like, it's a badge of honor. You don't need to do every single wipe. Same thing with like the Kappa achievement as well. Um, and things for other. He was talking about like WoW. I actually never played WoW. I like stayed clear of WoW. It was seen by like a lot of my friends as like the hard drugs of the gaming world back in like our teen years. It's just like, do not touch it. Like, as soon as you like double click the shortcuts, that's going to be it. You're never going to like get up from your computer for the next 4 years. So like a bunch of us just like never played. Had a very bad sort of reputation for us. But he was talking about, you do like certain events, raids, whatever, like you get like achievements for doing those things. They don't prevent you from getting 100% achievements, but they're just like extra ones, which I was there at that time and I did, XYZ thing. Like, you do the Murano event, you get like an achievement there for doing that, like stuff like that, which would be kind of cool. Which I think is like interesting. I'm not like, are you an achievements kind of gamer? Like, do you care about achievements? Like, is it something you really go for?
No, not really.
No, me neither. I had a friend who was doing some like the Helldivers achievements, and I actually didn't even know there were any until the other day, until he said. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I don't really care, but yeah, okay. No, we can try doing one of them. It's fine. Like, I'm not really big on that particularly. What else? So they're like doing more work on the matchmaker. They talked a bit about the tutorials in the launcher. This was before the patch went through, and then we did actually see them afterwards. Oh, and they talked a little bit about like seeing like something while you're loading in. We've talked about this before as well.
Yeah.
Anything, like to do anything while you're
Didn't
loading in, like
Did Pestily say something like tic tac toe or something, or like some
I
type of
think
mini
so.
game?
Yeah, something like that. Like, or to like see people's stats or whatever. He kind of asked it in a bit of an interesting, like, leading way, where he said, like, I know it's probably not going to be possible to see your stash and or use the flea whilst loading into raid, but it was like how he started the question. So like, and I wasn't sure if that had ever really been confirmed or not before. Maybe they talked about it previously, but I think it's a shame that we're never going to be able to use the hideout while we load in. That's like, it's the
Yeah, it's
most
really
obvious thing.
yeah.
Even if you're not allowed to use the flea, even
Hmm.
like just to like podge stuff about in your stash,
Yeah,
it would be enough because you could like organize things for sale later, whatever. Like obviously being able
yeah,
to, because yeah, there's kind of three stages, right? There's the stash, there's the using the flea market, and then there's the hideout. I don't think we're ever gonna be able to use the hideout because the hideout's like its own game instance. So like that's kind of fine. I feel like not being able to use the shooting range is sort of a technical line drawing there that's like I'm happy for them to draw. But you think like using the flea is just an interface. Like I'm sure it's hard for them to do, but I think it would be good if they did, you know. I like be able to sell your stuff from the previous raid while you're loading into the next raid. Like, come on, man. Like, you got that's like because at the minute it's like double downtime, you know? Like, yeah, crazy. It's crazy, but I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. I don't know. But like, I'm glad that you said that because it is still probably one of the biggest pain points about the whole game is that if you're not creating content and you don't have a chat with you, it's kind of boring loading in.
yeah. Well, it's also just because it's like generally speaking is a waste of time because like I think it's more acceptable for like games like Dota 2 or I don't know any of these other like kind of like esportsy games because like you're playing a match and you're playing for rank points like resource or whatever internet ego points and but you're like usually committed to like X amount of time, right? Like if you play a Dota
Hmm.
2 match, like you're committed at least for like nowadays it's a bit more lenient, but it used to be like an hour. It's like you had to like guarantee you had an hour free slot, and it was fine. You sit there, you wait for the queue pops, you get a thing, whatever. Whereas like Tarkov is a much more like it's different in that when you're in the menus, you're still like technically playing the game because you're like organizing your stash, you're selling stuff. This is all like a part of the game where like CS:GO, you don't have any of this like menu gameplay stuff. So the fact that you can't like be efficient with your time spent is like really annoying because it's like you have to play one game. Okay, now I have to go and pause and wait to play the other side of the game. It'd be nice to like merge the two.
Yeah. It would be really, really good. Yeah. It's like, it's just a shame that they didn't do it like Manuel was talking in the chat as well about like we're hoping it would be fixed for Arena, but Arena's the same. You can't do anything while matching because they've like I think I complained about this previously to you, which was that you can look at the presets while you queue, and queuing takes like zero point 0.2 of a second, and then when you're actually loading in, you can't look at them anymore, and it's like no, that was the whole point, so you can actually do something well. So you just spend the whole time alt tabs, like doing something else because it takes so freaking long. Like it's annoying. If they could fix that, that would honestly be a huge win. It's like such a huge win for the game if they could do it. I actually think it's really important. I think they should
Hmm.
prioritize it more. Honestly, I really do. I think a lot of people just get fed up with that because it just feels like a waste of time. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to spend 5 minutes organizing my stash, and then 5 further minutes waiting to get into the raid, and
And
it's
let's be
like
clear,
you
organizing your
didn't waste my time.
stash isn't the same gameplay like the amount of like emotions and feelings I get from organizing my stash is nothing the same from like playing a raid. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's cathartic, sure, but it's not like hyper engaging, pure liquid dopamine being dropped into directly into my brain, like it is playing a raid. No, it's
Hmm.
not the same. So
Yeah, exactly. So if you can like fold those two into each other, like the
mm,
matching time is necessary. And that's the thing. I actually feel that like wouldn't need to change anything with the matchmaker if they allowed you to do that. Like people would be totally happy to wait 5 minutes if they could do something else. They really would. Like I don't think it would matter anymore. You could be doing that bit while
yeah.
loading in. Wouldn't make any difference. So I hope they do something for that. I really do. It's been a long time coming. Like obviously speeding it up is also good, but I just don't think that's really feasible. Like half of the time that I spend sitting, it depends on which map, honestly. Like it's been quite nice playing some of the other maps, playing like customs and woods. It's actually been quite good because I get in and we load and it's waiting for players and then we load into the game. Like on when I was playing, the stuff I was playing before was I was playing a lot of streets and like a bit of lighthouse here and there because I can't remember why I had to do that, but I did anyway. And I spent like sometimes it's just like 6 minutes, 15. 6 minutes 30, and it's just waiting for players, waiting for the toaster to boot up on someone's like HDD, their Pentium, whatever. And it's just like, oh my God, like I just can't take these like people with such slow PCs anymore. I know it's like, it sucks to say that. Like, I don't want to be like PC elitist or whatever, but it's so painful, man. Like it's so painful. And it's been quite nice playing, like factory customs and woods, because everybody loads in quick and it's like, okay, this is actually, it's like much more, it's more like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's a much, much shorter experience than streets. So that's been good. That's been nice. Like, and that's the thing, they can't really do much about that other than speeding up the loading time of the game. But like, there's some hardware limitations there that they're not really gonna be able to overcome. So
You know what's crazy about that? On that note that I learned, if I'm not getting this wrong, apparently Cyberpunk does not support hard drives. You have to have SSD. I thought, wow,
and it's
that's
single
pretty.
player.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. Yeah.
That is extreme. But I feel like it's more and more justified as time goes on. I feel like it's more justified. Okay. So, pinned containers. Apparently, that's like still coming. He wasn't sure. Was that one where he wasn't sure whether, like, why it wasn't in or whatever? He needed to chase it up. I can't remember. But anyway, people have asked with pinned containers forever, and that was like one of the nicest quality of life things that we could be in the list, probably. So, please. They talked about weather report because the weather's unreliable on the map. You go in, it says sunny, and then it's foggy when you get in. You're there with your DVL and your 5.7, like, whoops.
Yeah.
He only said it was coming. Okay, fine. I don't know when. Yeah, again, like Pesci was just like the laundry list of stuff, weapon layout, full auto setting, full auto lasers and whatever in the hideout. He did say about the armor system that they were still tinkering with it and going to make the hitboxes more predictable, which is okay. I mean, I don't really see how based on the way that it is right now, but like okay. Fragmentation. Apparently, he's like Nikita said it's going to be removed. I think it is removed already because of the way the mechanics work, but maybe that was already the plan. I don't really know. So fragmentation isn't officially stated to be gone from the game completely, not there. I think this is a good thing, honestly. It just is annoying and more inconsistent.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, I kind of like it as like a crit. It's like you have two different rounds. Here's a more reliable round. Here's another round that has like a crit chance, so to speak. It's less reliable, but sometimes like I kind of like that idea. I don't really know if that's like necessarily what they were going for. But anyways, it's probably better to have more consistency, especially given the current landscape.
I think that's where I stand on it. It's like, okay, we've added the inconsistency of the armor hitboxes. Let's make the ammo a bit more consistent. I also like fragmentation as an idea, but implementation wise, because of just the trying to track what's happening anyway on any individual bullet, it's like super, super tough. So I feel like it's probably just for the best. He mentioned about like the recoil system. He mentioned that they were intending on separating vertical and horizontal recoil on attachments, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that would be really cool.
We talked about it at length with like doing more stuff like that, but we'll see, I guess. An interesting comment on camera recoil and aim punch was Pesty was talking about that. Now, I can't remember whether he was talking about Arena in particular for this. I think he might have been. Just saying it makes it kind of hard to just play the game properly or whatever. And like the head, he described it in a bit of a weird way, but I think he was talking about camera recoil as well as aim punch, I think. And Nikita's view on it was already too low. And that if they make it any lower, then it's like it won't be there and it won't look right. The game will just be like weird and you won't have any impact of getting shot or firing the gun or whatever. So he was basically like, no, gotta stay where it is. Pesky still thinks inertia is too high. I think it's probably okay, honestly. Like I feel like I've just gotten used to it now. Like I don't really care to make inertia better. Like what do you think about inertia?
I mean,
like,
I
was almost surprised it was listed as a thing. Is that is that like naive of me or like blind of me or whatever? Like, do people want this? Like, I was just not really aware. I'm just kind of like taking it for granted that what it is now. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd say is, I think for me personally, I would like for it to be redesigned, like reworked on, not even reworked, but just like redesigned. I just don't think it's very good how it's currently implemented. Like, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know that type of stuff. But I don't know. For me, it's just like it's always when coming back to Tarkov, it's always you have to relearn how this particular inertia system works. You know, for like other games, it's not really a problem. Like I actually installed a a mod for Cyberpunk that adds inertia to the game because I
Mhm.
found it like really jarring to be able to just like spam left and right and like
Oh.
have like zero friction. You know, so I was like, okay, I kind of want that to be like because I'm also going for like a more immersive playthrough, so I kind of wanted that change. Um, but yeah, I don't know why Tarkov's is just like much more. Feels like it's more pronounced and also just clunky is like the general word I would use for it. But
Mm.
I don't know. I would just like for it to be like reworked. I think my biggest personal gripe is just that I can't press two keys together to like come to a stop. I think that's my biggest gripe, honestly.
Yeah, like the countering thing that you from CS you've talked about before.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Maybe. I'd probably need to think about it a bit more because I was just like, whatever. But I doubt they'll change it too much.
yeah. I think it's pretty much set in stone.
Hmm. They talked about the audio pop, obviously, probably the biggest bug in the game, and also about just where Oculus is. Nikita didn't know or where Oculus audio itself was specifically, so he needed to go and check. And he was going to check on the audio pop thing because it's terrible. They need to work on it. I mean, I have given helpful feedback through my channels to try and say like, here is the situations in which I have replicated it, right? Just to try and help, right? I did like a whole session on stream. I did some testing offline with some people in Discord. I did like a whole bunch of stuff. I like, as I said, my working theory was that if you had not heard or seen anybody up until that point, until they come into your audio range, something about them has not been loaded in for
Yeah,
optimization reasons. And the moment they enter your sphere, where they could be heard, their audio loads, in whatever concept that means. They load in for you for audio. And if they are stepping at the moment of load in, the attenuation system has not kicked in yet. So you hear it at full volume for that split second. But it's inconsistent because the footstep sound goes dunk, 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 dunk. So if they're going dunk, 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 and then they come into range, they're mid step. And I measured the audio pop and it's like 80 milliseconds. So if they're mid
hmm.
step, the audio pop will happen and 0 decibels, or no, that's the wrong way of putting it because decibels doesn't work like that, but like zero audio gets amplified to zero audio because there wasn't any audio. So there's no amplification, even though the footstep bug happened, there wasn't any audio to amplify. You have to get like unlucky and be part either in like the end of a step, the start of a step, middle of a step, whatever. And you won't always get that. That's my gut. I can't do any more to verify or disprove this. But that's where I got to.
Hmm.
And that's what I told them. So I don't know. And I've got like footage with 2 cameras on factory of me sat in the medical extract with Ida running at me down a corridor and then round the corner, me hearing the footstep bug and you seeing on the screen where it occurs and me going, "Oh, that's a big footstep bug." Hey. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see. Ash in chat
Uh,
was saying, "Do you have some video you'd be willing to share for your audio pop testing?" Veritas was asking for some last night. Maybe. Send me a Discord and point to me where he was talking about it because I haven't seen that, but I'm happy to because I've got multiple examples. I have video of lots of different bits. The one I sent was called Audio Pop Test Bug like 6A. I've got loads of footage. If you want some footage about the audio pop, then I've got some because I was trying very hard to make it happen. Okay. Right. Before I go on too much about that. Yeah, so there's like we'll just whiz through the last lot unless something is interesting there. Apparently the boss packet loss exploit is going to be fixed next patch, supposedly, according to Nikita. So this is the one where if you load into a raid on a map with a boss, then you don't get the packet loss desync icon in the top right within, I don't know, it's like 10 to 30 seconds of it. It depends on the map of scavs loading in because you get that when scavs load in. But if the boss is already there, he's already loaded and the scavs are already loaded first, so you don't get it. So if you don't get it, the boss is there. If you do get it, then the boss isn't there, and people determine that, and it's pretty much proven to work. and
Mhm.
people use that to decide whether they're going to stay in the raid or not if they're farming bosses. And so it makes the raids either really weird, really chaotic. We talked about this last week, whether it was good or not, but it sort of coincides with Tarkov's boss system to kind of make the whole thing suck. So apparently that's going to be gone in the next one. And yeah, Pesty did raise him that like the spawn rate was such a bottleneck for people because the spawn rate
Mhm.
being like 5% at the start, lots of the players as they progress just run up into this wall of the boss fights
Yeah.
and boss kill quests. Nobody could do them because you only see them one in every 20 raids. And then when they increase the boss spawn rates later, everybody's just trying to do them.
Yep.
And more people are running into the back of the boss quests because hardly anyone's progressing, and it
Yep.
just gets worse and worse until they're about 30%, and then finally enough people get through it. So he's like that's basically the deal. So he was kind of like, yes, we'll see.
Odds head.
Exactly. And then there's a bunch of load of other stuff. So crouch walk. Let's hope. Okay, so I do want to talk about this one. Pestily said the crouch walk no audio bug is still in the game. And Nikita said, "Oh, that's still there? I thought that was fixed."
Which
Now,
baffled me because I remember last week you explicitly said that you spoke to one of your PSG contacts, whatever, whoever, some nebulous person that I am not privy to, which is fine. That they said you confirmed it is indeed intended, and then suddenly it's brought to the man himself. Which, to be fair, it's likely he's not super. Like I know he's like the CEO, but I don't really know actually
it's
how the
partly because
structure.
he's the CEO. That's the thing,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's like,
Yeah.
does Nikita know about the state of the crouch walk audio?
Hmm.
Like, it's too low level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Possibly. It depends. This is the thing. It depends. Like, maybe
Right.
he does, maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
Because he's doing other stuff. Like, he's
Because
the
he's
CEO.
also
He's not
like the creative director. Sure.
exactly right. He's like doing a
But
lot of stuff, but he's like, there's a whole audio
the lead
team.
game
There's an
design.
audio team lead. Like, does Nikita need
Yeah.
to know the ins and outs of that individual like thing? I don't know. It depends. I'm not sure. So there's kind of two questions here. Is so like whether Nikita knows or doesn't know, and the
Mhm.
second question is like, is he answering the question he thinks he's answering? Because to all of us, it's like, oh, the crouch walking no audio bug. Like, yeah, that makes sense to us. We all know that that's like, if you're crouched at minimum speed and walk, you don't make any sound. And that's what everyone's been complaining about on Twitter for the past 2 years. I don't know whether Nikita interprets it like that and thinks it's something else because people
Right.
were bringing up other issues like when you were crouched, because there's still language barrier stuff as well. I know his English is a lot better than it used to be, but there's still language barrier stuff. Like people were talking about issues previously where if you were crouched, then there was like some audio that was playing when it shouldn't play or something. There was like another bug about crouch walking. So like could have thought he was talking about
Yeah.
that. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like they didn't talk about it in depth. Pesty just like said it, and Nikita was like, "Oh, that one. I thought that was gone." And I was like, "Are they talking about this? Like, do they know?
Yeah.
Are they
They
talking
could
about the
have
same
easily been
thing?
talking
Like,
about two different things for sure.
so I'm not sure. I don't really know, but I know that brought some that brought up some like I don't know confusion, I guess, in the community because like a few other people had said like, oh yeah, this is supposed to happen, right? We've been told now, like this is BSG has said was this is supposed to happen. Then when Nikita's like, oh no, we're supposed to be fixing that one. It's just like okay, because it's like not a bug as far as like we're all aware. Like it was put there.
Yeah.
So I don't, man, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Maybe BSG doesn't know. Honestly, maybe different people have different opinions. At BSG.
That's what I was like. It's kind of fun to think like someo's undermining.
Yeah, because like it's not like a cut
It's like,
and
oh
dry
yeah, I fixed that
thing
bug,
either.
Nikita. Yeah, I fixed that bug.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. As Tower rightly points out, blunt damage not going through plates. We thought that wasn't a bug either. Indeed.
Mhm.
Indeed. Okay. Scavs looking through bushes. Apparently that's a problem. I actually think that's kind of okay. They talked about Ground Zero set for matchmaking, but that already came in the last patch. The fog thing we talked about already. There was some conversation about locking labs, like level lock on labs or something. I don't think that fixes cheater problem, which is kind of the implication. And I best he was like, I'm the messenger, don't shoot the messenger. This is just what I'm like gathering the most sort of said things, but kind of whatever. Are they going to fix Lighthouse? Nikita says they have no plans to touch Lighthouse at all. So that's
Like
that.
said.
And then, yeah, like sights and zooms and stuff, and eye relief was mentioned and noted. But the hideout, there's going to be new areas, special areas. It does sound like they've got quite a lot of plans for the hideout. Like the DLC clan linked stuff is going to be there. Apparently, the cat is soon. Presley brought up like the possibility of like monetary transactions for like decorations and things, which I think he was like, well, maybe, so that could be kind of cool. Like maybe in the Hall of Fame being allowing you to add all the stream items like Dr. Disrespect armor and stuff like that, so that you don't accidentally use them. Less about the space, but more about like not accidentally using them, because some of them are like in the recipes for stuff. And I've certainly used, what did I use? I used a VHS tape to barter for a dog tag case by accident when it was a profitable barter maybe 2 wipes ago, and was just like, no, because I only had one, and I forgot to buy another one off the flea. So there's that. So it does sound like they have a lot of plans for the hideout, which is kind of cool. Some complaining about spawns, especially in reserve, which is fine. Like I had a fight with somebody on Lighthouse the other day at like, oh, it's this spawn. I left and there he is, and I fired a few shots and didn't kill him, so I ran away. So yeah, spawns is still kind of annoying. And the ability to maybe increase some of the exfil areas. The one that I know of in particular is Collapsed Crane. Collapsed Crane is horrible on streets. I don't know if you've used it recently, but Collapsed Crane is so tiny. It's such a small area. It's like it's a terrible extract anyway. And then the area you have to be in like you have to be in like 1 square foot, otherwise it cancels the extract. It's like you can barely like jiggle around in there without like fear of like canceling it. It's like, oh my god. So I do think that would be quite nice. Like he mentioned outskirts on woods as like the example of a good extract, because it starts kicking in like quite a way around the van that's there, and so it's nice and wide. So I mean that would be quite good. I think that would be quite nice. And then like also about like a potential extract on interchange, that corner one, the train crash thing. Lots of people have talked about that. Probably would be good, like make it Red Rebel or make it something restrictive extract, flare extract, or something that you have to do. It'd be quite cool to have a flare extract, actually, thinking about it on interchange. That might be quite nice. That'd be good, because you have to remember to bring the thing. What else? Rusted Key, super rare, but that's already been fixed apparently. I've seen lots of people going in the Rusted Key room, so it is spawning back on the pegboard if you want to go and get that. So that's already done. The hideout LEDX stuff, which we talked about before, so we don't need to go through that again. Same thing with the blue Terror Group folder. It's just like super, super, super rare. And like most people don't like global trader limits, and they like personal limits instead, which I do think is probably valid. And there's a bunch of other random things. I don't know if there's anything out there in particular that you want to like. It's just like it's like random stuff, like wish list for highlighting stuff in raid and having more quests to color, like choose between colored keycards maybe on labs, like increasing the ping kick limit. And, other events, whatever, like some Bear versus USEC stuff, stuff like that. I think that's kind of it, really.
That catches my eye was when he talked about he mentioned like playing as Bear, there's no benefit, and then Nikita said, there's a Russian armed forces faction coming that will benefit Bear or something, which is like cool. Bear gets something, which is nice.
Yeah, does need it really.
Yeah.
So there was like a couple of notes that he wrote, that Pesley wrote down in the description actually, which he basically said, some things I asked afterwards, as I forgot to ask during it, was the separation of KD. So there'll be a PvP and PvE KD, which is planned, which will be quite nice in the stats. So it's not just going to be everyone's got like 10 KD because they're killing scavs and it's pointless. You'll be able to see like PMC KD versus like scav KD, which is going to be cool. So I'd like the idea of that. And apparently, he was going to get a response on Monday, supposedly. So I don't know whether he and Nikita have talked already about the audio pop. I'm not sure. Like, it's not been fixed, but maybe they're talking in private about it. I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was good. As I said, it was like a lot of the ending was a laundry list of stuff that the community wants changed, that Nikita wrote notes about, that whether it will get changed or not, like, I don't know, right? It goes into Nikita's mixer of what he wants for the game versus what he thinks is important versus things that he would like to do but can't because it's going to take too long, etc., etc. So who knows? But I do think it was important to have that chat, even though we may not necessarily see anything straight away or might not necessarily have learned that much in the second half. But to have Nikita sit down and just get a distilled list from Pestily of like everything, and I think Pestily did a really good job of compiling all the stuff and just getting it to him in that format. Because Nikita go back and watch the video as well. If anyone's unclear, like, oh, what did he ask me here on this bit, whatever, you can just go and watch it. So like, because it's public too, actually like a really nice format for it to, and we just got to witness it happening basically as it happened.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. Like it can only be for our benefit in general. So props to Pest and props to Nikita for sitting there for 2 days with him,
Yeah.
hashing it all out because it's a long time. He's a
Yeah.
busy guy, I'm sure.
Kind of feel, yeah, I almost feel bad because it feels like at a certain point Nikita's almost like kind of just checked out, you know. Which,
Understandably.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him and his personal life or whatever.
Hey, buddy, would you like to sit down for me for 2 days so I can pick apart your life's work,
Yeah,
collated across hundreds of thousands of people's worth of
right.
feedback? Sounds like a fun time, right?
I know how much you love this next question.
Oh
So,
my god,
have you fixed the cheaters yet, Nikita? Yeah. It's like I bet you haven't
exactly.
heard this question before. So
Mm,
yeah, I
mm.
uh I can understand it. It looked like he was taking notes, but definitely I don't know. It'd be interesting to know what it's like being Nikita for a day. Personally, I think that'd be interesting. Mostly
Yeah.
though, I would say the things that I would really like to see, because it seemed like it kind of sounds like to me, this is just my general, assumptions here. It kind of seems like, we're in the oops, sorry, mic bump. We're in the final hours of Tarkov, being like finalized, so to speak. It feels like they're trying to get things wrapped up, which understandable. I mean, it's like, we're going on like 8 years here next year, I think, or something ridiculous, right? I think it's been in alpha slash beta slash whatever it is now forever, it feels like. So I can totally understand them wanting to like get this thing done, finalized. But it is kind of a shame because it feels like there is some things that I would like, for example, as we said, the if they ever do this, the getting the matching to allow you to like move stuff in your stash and stuff like that would be awesome. Lock picking, I've always like wanted this like, you know, gameplay mechanic where you could like, maybe it's a mini game, maybe it's like just a chance based thing, you didn't have the key to the quest room, but you just want to like sit there and fumble the lock, and it's like, oh crap, I hear someone going, put the lock, it's like the CMS kid animation, put the lock pick away, and he's like folding it over and over. He's like stuck in the animation. But I've always wanted something, even like breaching, like explosives on doors. I always thought that would be really fun. I don't know, there's some things like that in there, but it just kind of feels like that's kind of where we're like are, like especially with the microtransactions and now this new like package thing. It feels like they're trying to get this thing wrapped up. Like I don't want to suggest that they're the sink ship and quick, throw all the money, throw all the cosmetics at them. I'm not really suggesting that. It just feels like they're trying to do everything they can to get this project, everything it needs to be finished. Like there's this saying, it's like, and I don't really know the appropriate word, so maybe you could correct me here, Kika, but it's something that's like, don't let best get in the way of good, or don't let better get in the
Oh,
way of good, something like
don't
that.
don't don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I think probably rings true here,
Yeah,
Um, 'cause there's
yeah,
something good with Tarkov, like there's no question about it.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Don't let
Nothing else
beta.
can really touch it. Don't let beta get in the way of release.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah,
Uh,
that's a good one.
that is good. That is good. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like, I still don't really know what 1.0 means. Like,
Right.
whether they're going to move on. I mean, the very last bit I didn't say, but they said that their plans for the game broadly is because he said 2 to 5 to 10 years. I mean, Nikita was very like general, but
Mhm.
release the game, release the plan for DLCs, and then start working on their new game was like
Yeah.
Nikita's response. So, what kind of time? We always knew that they were going to work on something else. Like, what kind of time frame that's on? How much they're going to carry on working on EFT? Who knows? I think without continuous development and continuous updates, I do think EFT's interest will wane, even if it's just wipes. Um, Even if it wipes, which it will every 6 months, how much people will come back for it will start to go away if nothing new comes with those patches. It's just the way of things. Not only natural, I think, until you get to a certain sort of dedicated level of player base that's that will always come back. But I think
Yep.
like the kind of tire kicker population of the game will sort of go away once there's nothing new to check out each time, because that's like part of the fun. So we'll see. Depends on how dedicated they are to adding stuff, I think, and these DLCs, whatever that means. I'm still trying to pin down exactly what they mean by that, but it depends on how much time they want to invest in that. I mean, I think they probably still will for a couple of years, but then after that, I don't know. No, who knows? Who knows? We just have to wait and see. So, um, yeah. What do you want to talk about
So
next? I mean,
that's 2 topics down so far.
yeah. I mean, the rest of it's like kind of quick. We can quickly talk. We'll talk about like new games and extraction shooters and whatever. Like, there's not that many games that really rival Tarkov, but the one that is potentially going to rival Tarky is
Mhm.
good old Grey Zone Warfare, which, as we've been covering on and off from publisher Madfinger over in the Czech Republic, they've been working their asses off trying to get this thing into ship shape, and they are working at breakneck speed. I will say, it's going from Tarkov development. Obviously, it's a different game, it's a different type of like vibe or whatever that they're going for right now, but they are like speeding along with making this thing and actually getting this thing released, which is kind of cool because the creator playtest, like the open creator playtest, not like open, but like much wider than it was previously, has been announced. Various people are going to be playing it from the 18th to the 25th of April. So literally, from the day that this goes out on live, it'll be 3 days from this podcast. But for those of you who are watching it live, it's like in just under a week, 6 days or something. And it's a much wider pool of people, including myself, which is nice. So there's no NDA, so there's the group of us are going to be able to just play it freely on Twitch, live stream it, show people, play the game, whatever. Like all of the progresses, I guess, will get wiped after you play through it for that week or whatever. But it's going to be like a good introduction to the game. I
Yeah.
guess it'll give them some time to bug fix stuff that 40 people don't catch, but 2,000 people do.
Right.
And like also help them to test their servers and matchmaking and whatever it is else that comes with a big game that's not just like a tiny closed little group of testers like last time. So we'll see. Unfortunately, I'm on holiday next week, and so I'm only going to be back on like the 20th. So I'm going to miss the first 2 days, which is like big sad for me, because I was like, oh, look at this, the date's been announced, and I was just like, God freaking damn it! It would have to be, wouldn't it? But anyway, I'm not like it's fine. It is what it is. So I'm not cancelling a holiday for Grey Zone or anything like
Mhm.
that. But I'm excited for it. I think it should be fun. We've just seen various people playing it so far, and it'd be nice to get into like bigger servers, bigger matches. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet, because obviously I always play solo normally. So like whether I'm going to try and like get some streams in with some other people, I don't really know. I think like Hayes is involved maybe and stuff. Maybe I'll like link up with him, maybe some of the UK people, because so it's the kind of tricky to link up with anyone in the States because of time zones or whatever. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Like I don't necessarily want to play it like on my, like maybe I'll play it on my own right at the beginning. I'm not sure. So still deciding. But I think that should be fun. I'm excited for it. Like I don't think that I'm expecting it to suddenly come out and be, as I said previously, the messiah that's going to save the extraction shooter genre. But I'm just hoping that it's fun and engaging and
Yeah.
interesting, and it's kind of its own thing, and that we have some fun with it. Because like it would be really nice to have like both of these games in tandem. Like one doesn't have to kill the other. It'd be just great to have two games that are both solid and pretty
Mhm.
cool. I'd enjoy that. So we'll see. I guess like by the time, well, it depends actually, yeah, because we're not doing the cast next Friday because I'm not here. So it depends on like the timing of like when we do it. Like maybe we do it like Monday or something, because then I actually will have been able to play at the weekend when I get back or something like that. Because then I'll have something to report on for like the next cast. Maybe like publish it the day after, or like same day or something. Do it early. I was just like
Do
trying to
that.
think about the timing. Yeah, we'll see. So no, it should be cool. Should be interesting. Looking forward to it. Um,
I mean,
Hopefully
it's
they've like improved some of the performance stuff, because I don't know. I don't have a NASA supercomputer. It's like fine, but I hope it's like playable at least.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're a 7-day, you know, test of sorts of, it's kind of like also marketing
Mhm.
involvement. I mean, it sounds like they're putting they're at a point where they're risking a lot by doing this because you're kind of like in no NDAs as well. So it's kind of like you're putting a lot on the feels like they're putting a lot on the line for this. You know what I mean? Like if this goes out, day one is just like a complete hot mess. Like people are flying through the map, glitching, falling through the map. A bunch of bugs, or just it's like unplayable garbage. Then yeah, they're like doomed. You know what I mean? So the fact that they're like doing it like this tells me they feel like they're confident enough to put whatever they got so far here to show the world. So I don't know, because the scrutiny of streamers is like no joke. I mean, yeah, it's like their own curated people, but as curated, like they picked the two people, or however. But still, I mean, the Twitch chat can be brutal sometimes.
Exactly, and also because they've been very like, just tell us how it is. Like they're not very like, you say the wrong thing, you get kicked from the program or anything like that. Like they've been very open to feedback. So yeah, people can be quite brutal about it. The only thing that I would say is that a lot of the time these games go from like closed, like behind the doors testing, whatever, and it's just like today's the release date. We're gonna have 500,000 people play, and then nobody can get in.
Yeah.
At least this is sort of like we're gonna test it with a closed group, but it's like enough to run on the servers and fill them without it being like the half the population of the United Kingdom trying to get in or whatever. So like so many games just struggle with that. Like, do we want to dedicate out all of this server space now when we know that the player base is probably going to be 20% of what it is on day one, in 2 weeks or whatever? Like, and it depends on the game too. Even these like super popular ones that go like crazy, it's like, well, you only ever need that server capacity like one time, and it's at the beginning. So it's a bit of a tricky thing to do. But anyway, I think it was interesting. We'll see. I think they probably learned a lot from the first one. I mean, a lot of people said that it was quite polished the first time, other than performance mainly. So yeah, I've got high hopes. I think it'd be good, and I just hope it's fun. I hope it's just not bland. That's honestly the thing. Is the biggest risk that I think for Greyzone is that it's just bland. So
like, it's not fun.
Yeah, like you just play and you're just like, I feel like I'm playing like Daisy Sandbox. Like there's nothing like, where's the gameplay loop? Like that's the thing for me. It's the gameplay loops that have to be compelling. That's the thing that I'm worried about the most.
As you said, that is last week or the week before, kind of talked about it's like hard. How do you like put fun in a bottle and then like sprinkle it on your thing that you're making? How do you do that?
Exactly. It's tricky.
It's not a very easy thing, very nebulous thing.
So we'll see. Could be cool.
You want to tell me about boss hunting? How'd it go?
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit. So I played mainly factory to start with, because I was kind of like doing a list. I was like, okay, who's the easiest? Like, I don't necessarily want to hunt all the bosses. I just want to hunt like some bosses, and it's not even necessarily for the quest, even though I did have to do it for the quest. But I wanted to do it like more for me and to get better myself, because this is it's a wipe of personal development.
Ooh.
And so even though I killed Tagilla, because the only bosses that I'd killed up until like the beginning of this was literally Kolontai in that one raid with the RPD. And really seen the other bosses. And Rishala, actually, I tell a lie, because I'd killed Rishala without realizing. But I hadn't completed the quest because I hadn't got the gun. So I was like, fine, let's start with Tagilla, because I want to go in order of like availability. That's the way I want to do it, because I don't want to spend half my raid boss hunting, and I spend 3.5 hours on interchange not finding killer, right? Like I just don't want that to be the way the content goes. So we're going to go in order of availability. Tagilla's just like by far the easiest person to know whether he's there or not. The map is tiny. You hardly have to search at all. You load into the raid, you throw one flashbang, and you normally know he's there. Half the time, you load into the raid, and he's like, as soon as you're like loading in, like the screen's like coming up from being black, you already know he's there because he's like manically laughing like an idiot. So I was like, okay, we'll start with him then. And that was actually quite fun, because I like Factory anyway. Kind of got back into playing. I haven't played Factory for a while with Streets and all the other stuff that we've been doing. So that was fun. Like, I had to get back into it a little bit, but afterwards it was good to like run around, get some kills, like do the stuff. And Tagilla himself, I mean, these days he's pretty much a pushover. Like, he used to be super scary because of his armor and whatnot. But like now, it's just he's not really that big of a deal. And like the first time I killed him, I was like, oh, it's like almost disappointing, because he had like a Strandhog and a CQCM on. And so I was like, okay, this guy's like, it's like not wearing anything basically. Like, I've got FMJ and a MP7. He just dies. And then my whole strategy was just to find him. I died to him the first time because I was just stupid and stayed out of cover. But then I found him 2 more times and killed him once, took his stuff, killed him once, and died to another player. In that, and that was in like 1.5 streams, which is kind of okay. Actually, no, I guess it was just one stream. This was like 3-hour period. But it's like just sort of aim at the neck area. He's got no armor on his neck, no matter what armor he's wearing. So you just kill him like that. It goes to the head hitbox pool, so he dies. And then you could take his stuff and whatever. So I actually enjoyed that quite a lot. Like fighting together was fun. Using the flashbangs to find out where he was works really well. I still haven't determined whether he shouts every time. And like one time I got surprised by him. One time I killed him kind of in the med tent. And I don't think he like moved or whatever. Like, but he doesn't always seem to respond. It's a bit strange.
I think I've had the same experience. I've heard the same statements made about hunting Killa with flashbangs. Is also sometimes he just won't voice line.
Yeah.
For me, fortunately, I got lucky that he did. But yeah.
Yeah. So, but other than that, it was quite good, really. I was like, okay, there's not really too much to the strategy. You just go in, throw the grenade, and then just as long as you've taken an appropriate ammo. Like I used to never want to fight him with an MP7 in previous wipes. But now I was just like, okay, high RPM, I can shoot the neck and a bit above the plate, and I'll get him thorax slash, whatever. It's not too bad. And then I moved over to woods because I was like, okay, I want to go for somebody who is like in the same place. Because if I'm not going to go for the Gila, then I'll go for somebody who only spawns in like one location. So that really is like Sherman and Caban, I think. But like Caban is like a wall zone, and I've played enough streets. And I've killed Caban before, but it's like he is actually quite hard to do. So it's like, we'll do Sturman. So I hunted Sturman for a bit. I managed to kill him twice. I killed him once and took the key for the quest and did that. And then I killed him again. It was really weird. Like he got aggroed by somebody else and he ran like from the sawmill towards the checkpoint with the SUV. And like, there's like a big like rubble pile kind of on the path between the sawmill and the SUV, like the USEC sort of checkpoint kind of area, as I now know what it's called. And he like ran up that and then stood on it. And I was trying to combine Shooter Born in Heaven sort of with it because I was like, I was kind of feeling in the mood for using bolties, which is quite unusual for me. But I was like, let's just do it. Might be fun. It's woods. And I actually had a really good time. I was like, basically, if I'm having a crappy time, I'm just going to stop and I'm going to use something else. But I used the M700 because I had it off somebody else with a razor on it. And actually, it was really nice. Like I killed Sturman and all his guards in the first one with an M700, and then I killed him again with the M700 in this other raid. So I was like, this is actually all right. And I got like 2 other headshots on random PMC. So I was like, this is okay. Like this is not the train wreck I thought it was going to be. But I died to somebody else on that one. And what got me killed was the 1 kilo like Tasmanian tiger bag. Like we've been talking a lot about camo, and I took to like the Space Monkey pops in every now and then. He's the guy who does like the overswing calculator. He's like big on camo and like has this. He's the guy who said who's got like very specific play style where he's like prioritizes survival rate and PMC kills together, which is like super interesting. He's like proper like predator hunter kind of player. Kind of cool. I like the way he plays. It like makes me think about stuff, which is fun. But he was just like, oh, that bag's gonna get you killed basically, and like you should use the mechanism or the Burka or whatever. And like I got killed. I got killed by somebody with an AUG. I was using the M700. I didn't know if they'd seen me, and I was trying to get a cheeky headshot, but I got like sprayed. Turns out the guy didn't know because I was like, oh man, I got like killed really fast. The guy didn't know whether like that he'd killed me because he came into my chat because he was surprised that it was me, and he was actually recording, and he sent me the recording. So that was really cool. And what got me killed was the Tasmanian Tiger Trooper bag on my back because I was like completely like black and silhouetted against the bushes. Except for the bag, which is just like a hemisphere of just like tan. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I learned that lesson. But that was fun. It's nice to have the kill cam if you're a streamer, because sometimes people, they have their thing on, and then you can go, hey, can you send me the death? And then you get to see what happened. Like, it's nice. So that was good. And then I tried to find Rashalo, and like the only time that I managed to, because we swapped, it basically got foggy. So I swapped over to customs. And that was when I found Blank with the RPD. So I like saw him, got the TT, but didn't actually manage to like fight him or anything. So probably going to do a bit more with Sharla. Maybe I'll go back to doing a bit more Sturman. But I think like those 3 bosses together, like Gilla, Sturman, and Rashala are like kind of staples. Like you can find them relatively easily. Like customs isn't that big. There's not that many places he could be. It's a bit more RNG because he's in a few places, which is kind of annoying. But I think they're some of the best. Like I might try and do some Gluhar as well. Because I know a lot of people prioritize fighting underground, and Glukhar can spawn above, and you often can sort of fight him alone, kind of. Like, I know people come in third party later, but he's in places that people don't usually like beeline to for loot or for like actual PvP. So we'll see. Like, I'm interested to try and fight him as well, but like Killer's like right at the bottom of the list. I don't really care. I don't even know if I'm going to go and fight him. I'm not sure. Same with the goons. Same with the cultists. They don't really count for me. So yeah, we'll see. But it's been good so far. I've actually enjoyed it quite a lot. Yeah, it's been fun, like strategizing what to kill the bosses with. I think with the new recoil system and the way new armor system works, they feel like more killable in some ways to me. Doesn't feel like I'm, as a solo player, I need to go through like 6 billion rounds to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you take the right gun and you target them in the right place, you can kill them, not without too much trouble. So yeah, I don't know. It's been okay so far. I feel like the bosses may be in a good place, roughly, for like in terms of the actual fight that you have with them. Fighting them, I still think sucks, and there should be some tools to enable you to force a spawn or get a spawn if you do a thing or
Yeah.
whatever. But like, it's more relevant for like, I mean, I targeted the ones that are the easiest to find, so at least we got enough
Yeah.
chances to interact,
Right. Right. You
which is the
eliminate a
fun
lot of
thing.
variables there.
Yeah, like I'm less bothered about like fighting the boss and dying because at least I get to
Mm-hmm.
like do the thing. I just hate not being able to do the thing. So yeah, it's been good. I'm going to carry on, I think, and we'll see. But I'm literally not going to be on for a week, so off until Friday. So I'm going to be back probably on when we do our cast or whatever on the 22nd. So I'm just going to be like, watching updates and seeing what happens, but I'm not going to be streaming for a week. So yeah, it's end of the boss saga for the time being, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, just to reiterate what was said earlier in the podcast or the interview with Nikita, I just really wish they would just keep the bosses at like a reasonable percentage and just give the quests at the start of the wipe. It would just make everyone's lives more enjoyable.
Mm. Oh yeah, you reminded me because like I was looking through and I was like, I've not done Kaban, not Kaban. I've not done Gluhar, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Gluhar. And then I was like, looked it up on the wiki and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
god, you got to do pest control with.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like not intending on doing pest control, but you have to do pest control beforehand. It's the one where you have to kill scavs in the barracks area, and it's like notoriously annoying because you just have to like bring scavs in somehow. Like it's not that killing them is not hard. It's like getting them in the area. So people like go in tag to curse to try and like draw them in. Like like the last time when I did it, I took like 5 grenades, grabbed a random scav AK, and was just like firing it in the building, throwing nades. I had like 2 player scavs come in and killed them. Like it's just so hard to get them in. It's so irritating. They're trying to coax the scouts in, like, come on, come into the building so I can kill you for this stupid quest. You only need 10. It's like feels like pulling teeth. The whole thing is just insane. And you have to do that before you get the Kaban not Kaban, sorry, I keep saying Kaban. You have to do that before you get the Gluhar quest, which is such a pain. So maybe I'll do that at some point. Ugh, I don't know. But I can't fight him without it, so yep.
There is
Whatever.
this one funny interaction. Someone made a video, that person being Avni Dude, about this particular quest where he called it infill camping, and it's pretty funny. I mean, we talked about this a little bit. I did a little bit of this self reserve, with the kills and scats off a silencer.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I think if I recall correctly, this works for this works for pest control because you're inside the building, but what's happening for the audio listeners is you can do pest control if you're inside the appropriate buildings and you're shooting player scads as they spawn in on like the fence line outside, which is just hilarious because you see them pop in and you kill them and then they just keep spawning in and like this one. I mean, there's like 10 bodies in this footage here. It's hilarious. I did this on the opposite side of the map in one of the towers. I was shooting them over by the marksroom barracks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, this is like even better because you can do so much. You can do that quest. You can do the silencer quest. It's also just like a safer area versus the tower. It's hilarious. I mean, if you need like labs cards to farm, this would be a good way of doing it, but it's just incredibly hilarious. And I don't know, it's just toxic. Probably, definitely, it's just hilarious though.
Yeah, new samples strategy just dropped, like farming player scav load in
Yeah,
inventories, you know?
yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, Little tidbit for you gamers.
Yup. Yup. So, how has managed democracy been?
It's been good. I don't want to talk about it too much just because we're
No?
running low on time, but because we could say it for another time.
But
I mean,
you've
just
been gaming.
yeah, just briefly. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's kind of it's just a great game, man. Like I don't know how much more I could say that other than it's just like I don't know how long it's gonna last. I don't really care though because it's just really fun right now.
Yep.
It's great with the boys. You know, it's just good times all around.
I'm up to 105 hours now.
All right, yeah. I mean, I see you putting in hours. You know,
Mm.
I see you. I see you. I know you and the. I thought about popping in one time, invading your little group, but. Speaking of which, do you and your teammates? I'm just curious. Do you guys like do pranks on each other, like kill each other? You know, try to airstrike each other.
It depends.
Is
Like
that
not
normal
on,
behavior? I'm just trying to gauge.
not on purpose.
Unrelated to my group that I play with, by the way.
Not on purpose. Usually something happens by accident. Like sometimes somebody tries to do something funny, but it's like close-ish. Like we don't do anything like too crazy, but there's definitely certain danger close moments to happen because someone's got a bit of hubris or whatever.
Yeah,
which is quite funny. It's usually accidental. It's not like I'm just gonna airstrike you like on top of you. Although
okay.
things like that do happen sometimes.
More stuff like, guys, I'm throwing in a 380, and it's like, oops, it hit the wall right in front of us. Good luck. More like that. Yeah.
More like the 500 kilo bomb that I threw at the Hulk, and it bounced like the dreadnought, and it bounced like directly back our way, like pretty much along the arc. And I was like, oh, that's danger close, and nobody moved, and everyone died. Stuff like that.
I found a trick with the quasar cannon.
Mm-hmm.
You can like spam mouse 1 instead of like holding it to charge it, and it will look as if you're charging. It will do like the full animation, but nothing will ever happen. But I was aiming at a teammate, and so he freaked out, shot and killed me. I was like,
such jokes.
yeah. But we had some funny moments. And I got the explosive sniper rifle from that new.
The new war bond, yeah.
Yeah, because I saved all my super credits. That I'm gonna get it. For those who don't know, it's like they have like what they call war bonds, which is effectively like a battle pass. Like commonly referred to as a battle pass. I know that's probably like triggering for some people, but it is what it is. Anyways, and so you can get like their currency in said war bonds and also in the game through actual gameplay. So I've saved up enough to finally get a premium war bond, and then they had this update just yesterday, I think it was, that had the new one. So I did that, and then I got the new explosive sniper rifle, and man, it's so much fun. It's like I've been trying to make like a sniper class-ish thing work, and it's been kind of challenging. But with this,
hard, yeah.
If I think this is the thing that kind of puts it there, because it's just like it's so funny too, because you can't use it up close because it has so much like I don't know scatter. Like you'll get ragdolled around. You can like kill your teammates if you shoot. Like if there's a bot chasing them and like on top of them, you can't help them with the gun because if you hit the bot, you'll kill them in the process. I like
the autocannon. I get stuck in those situations sometimes. I'm our autocannon guy normally.
I haven't really tried. There's a lot of stuff I haven't tried.
Yeah, you should try the autocannon. It's like it's by far my favorite weapon in the whole game.
Yeah.
It's like I take it like every single thing. I try to not, but every time I don't, I'm just like, oh man, I wish I had it with me. It's like it's so powerful. Like it's so crazy. It has a lot of ammo. It's like it's perfect to that mid tier. Like it fills this like mid tier perfectly because like we usually use the stratagems to blow up the big thing usually, and then the small stuff like and people just can take care of that with whatever guns. But it's like it takes out, especially against like the automatons. You can take out a walker in one hit if you hit it in the legs, which is crazy. So like normally the like walkers like drop down And I'm just like, right, it's my time to shine. Just like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like they're just like gone, gone, gone. The Devastators you kill in 2 hits. And you can actually kill the huge like Hulk dreadnought things. If you hit them like right in the weak spot on the red section on the eye, you can kill them in 2 hits as well. With you, even with the auto cannon, which is insane. And it gets like, I can't remember exactly how many shots it has. It's like 9 or 10 or something. Per like mag, but it has like 2 mags that get loaded, which is weird. So you kind of want to, you never want to like run out. Like you always want to like reload it like halfway through. So it's cool, and it can take out the gunships as well. Like the gunships kills as well, too. It like takes the head off of like Bug Queen in one shot. The only thing that it really struggles with is charges. Actually, but you can kill charges with it on the bug side, but like it's like kind of you have to like hit them in the leg like very specific point, and like it's kind of annoying. But like yeah, I love it. I'm like our guy for that. So usually it's like stuff drops in, and I just like wipe all of the mid tier stuff and just like kill all of them. Which like frees up my team to do like tons of other things. Neat. So I love the autocannon. It's my favorite thing. But like we've all got like our favorite stuff, but it's like our favorite stuff is like morphed around like what everyone else takes. So like I take this because other people take things for the other stuff, and then they take that stuff because they know I've got the middle tier stuff covered. So it's actually like kind of cool like that, especially if you're playing the same people again and again and again and again, which I quite like about it.
I like that aspect too. Me being a off meta monkey that I am, I've been trying to make like the Tesla coil and the landmines work. Yeah, you can see the problem instantly when I say, "But guys, picking my tower, don't go near there."
Yeah,
just prone. No,
sure
I told you to prone.
Yeah, I have a friend who loves the turrets, and he's just like, yeah, watch this, guys. Like threw the Tesla thing and then like pressed the wrong button and just stood up immediately and electrocuted himself in it. And we were like, you are an idiot. Like, why? Good.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, still having mad fun with it. It's cool. And then like they've added a load of other stuff now in this latest one because they're like ship upgrades too. You have to like farm quite a lot of like materials in the various sessions to get, and they've like it's quite clever actually because they're capped. There's a cap on all the resources. So it's like 50,000 credits, 500 like regular samples, 250 rares, and 100 supers or something, I think. And there's like hard caps on all these things, and on medals too, actually, which is like 250. So it means that even if you're like level 2 billion, you can only have so many of the things. And when they've like added a new like ship upgrade for every like module or whatever, like you can only buy like one with the stuff you've saved up because you can't overflow over like the caps there. So I'm like, oh, that's actually quite clever because like it kind of makes everybody want to come back rather than like being like, oh, I can just instantly buy all the new stuff like immediately.
Yeah,
I guess that's but not with the samples. I actually think it's good.
I guess that is one upside. I mean, I was really focused on the downside where it's like you almost have like less incentive to play. Like the global incentive to play is, to serve your super earth and do your duty, right? You gotta fend off the automatons and, right? You gotta spread democracy.
And it's fun. Like the gameplay loops good anyway.
Sure,
so
of course. Fine. But, rat brain needs a squirt of dopamine every so often. So if it's kind of surprising to me to have that stuff capped out. But now that you say it like that kind of does make more sense because I could totally see a scenario, and this is probably similar to like Tarkov in a way where new thing comes out, you log in, I have a bazillion jillion rubles, let me go buy it. Oh, the Blicky's a bazillion jillion rubles on the flea market, no problem, bought it. Shot it a few times, okay, this was fun, now I'm gonna put you down, Whereas like this is like you kind of have to keep playing, and like step by step go through each of the content. It's just kind of interesting upside to it. I never thought about that.
Yeah, because I was also like, oh, this kind of sucks. Then I was just like, okay, this is just the way it is. And then when this stuff came out, I was like, oh, I can kind of see why now. I get it. I sort of get it. Because I have a friend who was just like had it all capped out. He's like the highest level in our group.
Yeah, I have one like that too.
But he's like, oh, back on the grind. Like, let's get the stuff. Like, and I do think it sort of helps to lengthen the fun.
Yeah, because it's almost like there's inevitable burnout, right? With anything. Too much of anything isn't good for you, right? So this way, it sort of like forces that limit on you. So then when you do come back, you do have something to reap your rewards from. But also now because you're incentivized to play the game because new thing, cool. Now you get to like participate in the grinding. So I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, same. I think it's good. Like there's pros and cons, but I think overall I think it's probably positive. But Good game. Yeah, I guess it's a good game. Good game. I like it. Pretty fun. What level are you? Have you got everything unlocked now?
Yeah, I just finished. I just got all the shadow gems the other night. I think I'm like, what am I, 30 something,
Yeah,
37
probably.
maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Something like this. It's pretty. Yeah, it's just fun, man. I'm honestly like constantly surprised at how like it's really just the execution too on it. Feels like, but
Yep. Just like all the things for me, just like just all the little interludes of music and like whatever. It's just like
yeah.
I just love it. Love it. So good. So good.
I guess just like the because we'll probably talk Helldivers again sometime because I got more stuff. But
Mhm.
for now, just one thing I just want to scratch off my list to talk about. Me and my friends played this one game, and I love that setup. And it's called Ascent, and this might actually interest you because it interests me. It's a squad based, as the description says, squad based tactical FPS with serious balls. Red flag alert. Each match is different, with game-changing events and adrenaline-fueled battles set in a dynamic biopunk world where everything wants to kill you. Fight to extract resources and get out more than just your dignity. So it's got like this kind of like 80s retro theme going on, whatever. It's kind of like it's like an extraction shooter-esque. Best way I can describe it is like you spawn in, you have like your primary weapon and secondary weapon. Secondary weapon is infinite ammo. Your primary you gotta like loot ammo for.
Mhm.
And there's shops, you kill creatures and collect like money from them and buy stuff in the game, and that's like part of the loop, right? But then what you actually extract with is this thing called like a biosphere, and there's like multiple of them on the map, and or maybe not multiple, but maybe there is multiple. I don't know. We only played it for a little bit, but
Mhm.
point being is that you take that back, and then if you successfully extract, you can like put that towards this upgrade that gives you like permanent buffs throughout future
Okay.
games. So that's the only like permanents. But it kind of has like that MOBA side, which kind of interests me, like where you gotta like spawn in, you farm minions to get gold and buy upgrades for your character to
Oh,
go
I
do the
see.
bigger quest stuff, which interests me. But we played it.
Like per session kind of thing.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So it kind of keeps it like fresh because I quite like that about MOBAs because each time, Dota 2 matches different with different heroes and stuff. There's like, I can kind of see it there, but anyways, we played it. It was definitely like very alpha. The movement felt, there was like no inertia. I got instantly triggered when I was trying to shoot the sweaty Apex player that was like strafing back and forth, like it's ducking, crouching. I could literally see their hair physics like just shifting because they were a girl character before you tell. It was just shifting all over the screen. It was so, yeah, it was pretty. Or no, sorry, they weren't. What were they? The finals, yeah, because one of them had TTV in her name. Anyways, it needs some more time to cook probably, but it's just something I want to mention. It's kind of like an extraction shooter, but yeah, it was a little rough around the edges.
But it seemed kind of fun, at least.
I like the idea. It
Yeah.
needs a little more cooking because I think that could be pretty fun because there was like this. It had like these substation bases. You had to like spend currency on, and you could like respawn there closer to like the main objective. Like it definitely had this sort of like MOBA-y, economy session based mini
Yeah.
game component part of it that I really liked. I like that aspect.
Cool. It looks interesting. Very bright. Like it kind of reminded me almost a bit like the Cycle meets Fortnite or something.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
In like the
Cycle,
vibe.
definitely the Cycle vibes because it's got kind
Aesthetic.
of that similar. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. But
yeah,
you got to keep an eye out on all of these like random things. You never know when something's just suddenly going to be amazing, you know?
yeah. That's true. So yeah, that was just that little fun little shout out to Shishby. He's always cooking up some new game for us to try out. He's got his eyes everywhere.
That's good. You got to have a friend like that for sure.
All right. Anything else, Giga, before we wrap up?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. Yeah, just I'll be away. So try and get in touch with me, then I'll probably take a bit of time to respond. But gonna go get some well needed R&R, and then we'll be back on it the week after, probably with Greyzone more than anything else. But we'll see.
Look forward to catching that. Well, as always, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.